All right, we are live. 2025 NFL Draft Day 2. I'm looking forward to it. Round 1 was, of course, very exciting. There was a lot that transpired last night. It started off with Cam Ward going number 1 overall, which everybody expected, and I don't want to say knew, but everyone expected for a couple of months. But the things really, they really shook up at number 2 overall last night, with Travis Hunter going to not Cleveland, but with Jacksonville. So there's going to be a lot that goes on tonight, and we will gradually, we'll split screen. We'll do a bunch of different things in terms of just interactive, just regarding how the draft's going to play out. We'll see how it all goes. Day 2, why Bears? Why no Genti? Look, the Raiders are they needed an upgraded running back. Now, selfishly, as a Vikings fan, I'm happy that Ashton Genti is not a Bear, but he's still going to be, he's going to be a phenomenal back for the Raiders. But Colson Loveland's still good. He's still good. So I wouldn't stress it too much. Hey, man, love the channel and all the insight. Keep up the good work. Excited for day 2, myself as well. I'm going to be honest. I love day 2. Like, this is my favorite day of the draft. Day 1, of course, is exciting. Day 1 is day 1, but I'm a huge day 2 guy. So I'm going to, let's see here. I want to pull up a couple of not like mock drafts, but I have the PFF mock draft simulator here. So I want to pull it up and just talk about, because I think it's the most interactive one in terms of just how smooth the website is. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that up and go from here. So let's go ahead. And hold on, it's not pulling up. I want to, give me 1 second here. But no, we're gonna pull up PFF. We're going to pull up a lot. We're gonna be going back and forth here between a couple of things tonight here. So it's gonna be fun, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. So did this work? No. There we go. All right, we're good. There we are. There I am. All right. So the Browns at pick 33, to me, if I'm them, I think Luther Burden makes the most sense. I think that one's pretty clear. I don't know why they wouldn't go Luther Burden at this point. To me, he is just, he's a really, really good football player. And if I'm the Texans at pick 34, look, they traded out, and between the Vikings going Donovan Jackson at pick 24, and then between the Commanders going Josh Connerly and the Chiefs going Josh Simmons, guys, there's a huge drop-off here between Ariante Ursary and Ozzie Trapillo and Marcus Bowe. Seven Aia is not a bad prospect, but I was a little lower than him than consensus. But there's a huge drop-off between Ariante Ursary and everybody else. So let's take a look here. I want to also pull up the interior offensive line, and I feel like the Texans have to go Ariante Ursary. If there's one pick that I'm confident in tonight, I really feel that Ariante Ursary at pick 34 makes the most sense. Now we also have the NFL draft tracker up here. So Cleveland's going to be active early, man. And right now, if you're Tennessee, obviously they need a receiver to pair with Cam Ward. So I think in the best scenario, that Luther Burden falls to them at 35. Like I said before, I'm a huge Luther Burden fan. I will also pull up my personal draft board tonight. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna be really interactive between the PFF simulator, because I think that is a really just it's easy on the eyes. That's the biggest thing. And I will go ahead and pull up my big board so we can kind of just go see where guys go based on where my big board is. Ian Rappaport just tweeted that Tyler Shuck is in the running to be the first quarterback taken tonight. That would be actually pretty insane. If Tyler Shuck was the first quarterback taken tonight, I'm not saying that it can't happen. I would just be pretty surprised. All right, who are some reaches we might see? You could certainly say Tyler Shuck would be a reach. I feel like the top of the second round typically is not. I feel like there's not a lot of reaches in the top of the second round. I just think that's I feel like that's pretty safe. Like, everybody's had a day to think about it. Let's just, take the good players that fell to us here. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of reaches early. Personally, I don't know if that's a hot take, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of reaches early. Now, two players that I was high on, and everybody was for that matter, was Will Johnson and Mike Green. The thing is Mike Green is an interesting player. There's a couple of things just regarding Mike Green as to why he may not, or why he didn't go in the first round. But all right, and it's strictly due to off the field. So, all right, who do you think is going to draft Shadur Sanders? Good question. Right now, I think I think he's in for a bit of a fall tonight, because here's where I'm going to go back and forth, because I like the idea of having this right here. So let me see if I zoom out a hair. There we go. Perfect. All right. So you look at Cleveland, right? I know they need a quarterback, but when you look at Cleveland here at pick 33, and even 36 for that matter, I'm going to ask this question here, and this is what it boils down to for me, right? Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry they're not like, completely safe. Their job is not the safest in the world, right? But I think Jimmy Haslam, all things considered, from their job security's sake, is somewhat reasonable. Now, he openly said this year that, hey, we made a mistake, and it was basically on him. Like, it was on him. A lot of it was on him, that they wanted to, trade Deshaun, pay him, and set the franchise back. And it's very rare that you see an owner actually come up and basically say that, hey, this is on me, right? So my point is I don't think Cleveland's going to take a quarterback, because, and especially Shadur, and my reasoning for that is, this also applies to Pittsburgh, by the way, and why I don't think they took him at 21, is when you look at Baltimore and when you look at Cincinnati, do you think that Shadur Sanders is going to be the guy that, hey, you know what, we are weak, and I'm going to say this probably 6 or 7 times tonight discussing Shadur, at least pertaining to the Browns, but this is the reason why I don't think he's going to go to Cleveland. And I could be wrong. I could be sitting here in 10 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever, and I could look like an idiot. But when you ask the question, is Shadur Sanders going to lead us into Cincinnati, lead us into Baltimore, and win with they took Mason Graham. That's a good, I think that will be a good pick in the long run, but they're not a good football team right now. This team is not Shadur Sanders away from going from the number 2 pick to 12-5. So I think Shadur is going to be in for a bit of a fall tonight. By the way, if you guys are enjoying, there's a couple hundred of us in here. Please drop a like. It helps tremendously. And we recently had 186K subs. So, like I said, cannot thank you guys for the support. And I'm looking forward to a great night. Somebody asks if it starts in 9 minutes. It's now 8 minutes, so it's 6:52. And I'm going to go. We're going to answer a lot of questions in the chat. So let's keep it rolling here. AK, my guy, Luther Burden, the most overthought player in the draft, was regarded as the best receiver in 2023. I don't get it. Let's actually pull up let's pull this up right here. I'm not like concerned. I'm not like, oh wow, 88.8, we have to draft him because of this number right here. It's nothing to do with that. But what I do look at is 86 receptions, 1,209 yards, 9 touchdowns. Now, not that is everything, but when you look at Luther Burden, right, this is a guy that, hey, he had 1,200 yards as a 19-year-old receiver in the SEC and was a first-team all-conference player at 19 years old. Why are we overthinking this guy? And he's gonna be fine, man. I can't wait. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Luther he posted on his Instagram story last night that basically, and I'm going to actually pull up my big board now. Luther he went around last night and he posted that he was working out. He was working out he was working out after the draft. And I thought that was pretty cool, because it was like, look, like, this kid is, he's hungry. He is hungry. And I don't want to say that that's half the battle, because, in theory, every player should be hungry. But I don't know why. Oh, we have a GIF here playing. But just to see that, hey, I'm pissed off. I didn't get drafted in the first round, and that type of receiver is the type of guy that I want on my team. All right, A. McNabb, first super chat, appreciate it. Do you think Emory Jones goes tonight? Good question. I have Emory Jones, and I'll go back and forth. By the way, I know you guys can see the I know you guys can see the rankings on the screen. I have Emory. Let's see, pull up I have him, I know, back half somewhere. I have Emory Jones. If you guys see him, like, please comment the number. I thought I had him past the 100 mark. Maybe he didn't make my 150, but I know I was low on Emory. I don't have him in my top 150. I knew I was low on Emory Jones, but yeah, I would be kind of surprised if Emory Jones goes, and I'd be surprised if he goes tonight. So to answer your question, A. McNabb, appreciate the super chat, by the way. But I would, that's just to answer that. I would be very surprised. But like I said, if there's any numbers you guys want to see, by all means, go for it. Love the channel, best NFL YouTuber. I appreciate that. Like I said, any comment like that really just makes my day. Where do you see Shadur if he's not picked by the Browns? So let's go ahead and go back to the mock draft simulator. And again, I love this because you can see the best players available. You can scroll down. This is, to me, just how a draft website should be. But somebody's going to have to trade up for him. The Jets are a sneaky team for Shadur, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Because he would be behind a good offensive line, and I think you could legitimately justify the Jets taking him because they took Armand Membu last night, and I just want to take a look at the Jets draft capital here. So let's just take a look here. The Jets are up at pick 42. They have another top 100 pick. The Saints would also make a lot of sense given that they took Kelvin Banks last night. So I don't think Shadur is going to be taken right away. I think he's going to have to wait probably, I don't know, half hour, maybe an hour tonight. But this, if he doesn't get drafted at 40 or 42, then he's going to be waiting a long time tonight. All right, let's see here. I hope the Broncos draft Judkins tonight. I appreciate the super chat, Dabbles. Appreciate it. And I mean, look, Judkins, to me, you can place on several teams, and it would make a lot of sense. I would love, this is going to be kind of like a pick that I would love, like just a me pick. I would love if Quinshad Judkins went to the Cowboys. I think that would make a lot of sense. Place him behind the O-line that just selected Tyler Guyton and last night Tyler Booker. They, of course, already have Tyler Smith. Right now, if you don't know the Cowboys offensive line, you have a 60% chance of nailing a player's name if you just say Tyler, just for reference. That is kind of funny. But no, Quinshad to the Cowboys makes a lot of sense. I wonder where Trevor has Judkins. He has him at 65. For reference, I had Judkins. Where do I have Quinshon? I had Judkins. I thought he was in the 60 to 70. Was I a little higher? I thought he was. Hold on. Where do I have Quinshon? I know I liked him, but where? 63. There we go. So, yeah, 63. No, Quinshon Judkins is a really good player. I would love him to go to Dallas. But let's see. Anywhere in this 50 to 70 range, I feel like we can see Quinshon go. So let's keep it going here. I think he's gonna go in a good situation. That's Shadur Sanders, 63. Appreciate everybody commenting that. Sorry if I missed it, but I'm just tuning in. Who do you like for the Raiders today? Asks Brian. Where do the Raiders? They're right at 37, man. So they of course took Ashton Genty last night. I mean, I'm going to say, like, I'm just going to be honest. Luther Burden, I'm a huge fan of. And to give you an idea, I have Luther on my board. I have Luther 16th. So I have the 16th player available. I have the 9th player available. And I have, who else? Who was the other big one? Will Johnson. Will Johnson is medical, so I'm willing to, I have him 20th. I have Will Johnson 20th. So I still have my 9th player, my 16th player, and my 20th player available. And I'm sure I have, where's Squirtin? I know I have him 22nd. So I have my 22nd player available as well. But Luther Burden is going to be my answer for a lot of these teams. Cleveland makes a lot of sense for Burden. Tennessee makes a lot of sense for Burden. Vegas makes a lot of sense for Burden. He, of course, makes a lot of sense for New England. Luther, now, if I don't have to give an answer that's not Luther Burden, Io Manor. Actually, you know what? There's my answer. Io Manor for the Raiders. Io Manor would, to me, dream fit because Alec Io Manor is a player that I know everybody loves to get their jokes in. Let's just, I guess, address the hit the nail on, or the hammer on the nail, whatever it is. That phrase, like a lot of, the Lad McConkey's, quicker than fast, route runner, lunch pail, coach's kid. Alec Io Manor is, ironically, all of those things, but he is also a kick rear ends and take names later guy in the run game, and that's why I love him. And not just me, but that's a guy that Pete Carroll would love too. So Alec Iomanor going to the Raiders. I'm actually going to tweet that now, by the way. So Alec Iomanor going to the Raiders. It just makes so much sense. I'm actually going to go and just tweet that. Let's get to some super chats, by the way, which I appreciate, of course, as always, guys. The Garf is a big Jags fan, and he was rightfully excited last night. And I would have been too. Look, the reality is did the Jags in theory overpay? Probably. I mean, look, you gave up 36 and a 1 next year to move up 3 spots, but Travis Hunter is arguably a one-on-one player. Now, I don't know what he's going to do at the NFL level, but anyway, let's get to Garf Super Chat. Any chance Makuba or Ratledge / Josiah Stewart falls to the Jags at 70/88? Also, how would you grade the Hunter trade and pick Gladstone the GOAT? So, I just said in theory that the Jags probably overpaid, but I mean, he is going to help out your franchise immensely, right? And my thing is if he goes for 1,000 yards this year and 7 touchdowns, and they have 2 1,000-yard receivers, and Trevor Lawrence becomes 2022 Trevor Lawrence in the first year of Liam Cohen, then I personally don't care what it cost. I mean, it's not 3 first-round picks to move up 3 spots, right? You are drafting, to a lot of people, the best player in the draft. So it's right now. I would give the trade honestly a win-win for both sides because of the player that it is. Now, I also acknowledge that in theory, it probably is an overpay for Travis Hunter. But look, does it matter when you have that one-of-one prospect? To me, not really. Let's see here. If the Lions go edge in the second round, which one remaining do you like for them? So the Lions are up. By the way, I do think, just quickly to go back to this, is to go back to the Garf's chat. I think it's a win-win for both sides right now is how I would grade that trade, by the way, just for reference. So the Lions pick 60. Mike Green, I'm going to elude from Mike Green conversations until we have like more just until he goes off the board. I'm not going to really talk about it. Ezeraku should be gone. Scorton should be gone. Braden Swinson would be a guy that they would like. JT Tuimoloau would be a guy they'd like. I think that would be early for Femi Oladejo. I think that'd be a little early for him. They'd really like Josiah Stewart. They would really, really like him. That might be a little early for Josiah Stewart. For reference, I had Josiah Stewart. Let's take a look here. I had Josiah Stewart. Where did I have him? I know I liked him, but I'm not sure where I had Josiah Stewart. I remember, like, he's a fun player on tape. I had Josiah Stewart at 84th, so I know it'd be a little early for him at 60, but he'd be in a good system. It'd be a good landing spot for him. So I would be fine in that specific situation. But for the Lions, Braden Swinson, I would like Princely for them, and Tuimoloau would be 3 targets that I really think would make a lot of sense for them. All right, Tristan, my guy. Hope you're doing well. And he says, Sanders to Jets or Saints is my bet. I'm with you, Tristan. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think he's going to be waiting a bit tonight. Now, right now, we do have the draft is technically live. So we are live, or we are active, if you will. And I'm not going to ask like every 2 minutes, but I will periodically ask, like, if you guys are enjoying, for the sake of the stream, if you could like the stream and you know, support the channel. It would be, or not support because you guys are already here, which I appreciate, but just drop a like, and I'm going to tweet out that Alec Iomanor going to the Raiders makes a tremendous amount of sense. And by the way, I will give an official prediction for probably the first 10 to 15 picks of the second round. So I'm not going to, you know, hey, we're at the 54th, or that's the Packers, ironically, even though that's my team's rival. But we're at the 55th pick with the Chargers. I think they're going to take this player. But I will give an official prediction for the first 5 or 6. And I definitely will say that my prediction for the first couple is going to be Luther Burden. I will predict Luther Burden until he's off the board. All right. Let's see here. Volcano, what's up, man? He's a big Tennessee fan. That's Volcano. I'd be eager to hear your thoughts on Nico, by the way. So let me know. I'm reading all the comments, guys, so I'd be eager to hear your thoughts specifically on Nico in that situation. But Gabe Davis, Jags receivers in here. He's definitely, dude, that's funny. So I read the Gabe Davis username. He says, I wish I had an extra quarter inch in the arm department. Might get me over 45 catches. That's hilarious. So what's up, Gabe? How we doing? All right, Bears are about to draft a tackle, edge, and corner tonight. The Bears are up 2 times in the next 10 picks, so I'm eager to see how they go. All right, when does the clock start? Rodgers on the stage now with a bunch of guys. I'm going to be honest, I don't know who. I think they're former Packers players, but I'm going to be yapping a lot, so I'm not going to be really listening to what he has to say, like too much, at least other aside from the picks being announced. Somebody asked Buffalo at 56. This is from Sheldon XP. Wide receiver Shirley. So I would say not Shirley. I mean, it's this. I hate this answer because it's so chalk. But whenever I give chalk answers, I at least try, and I hope you guys like acknowledge or at least realize that I do this. Is what I'm saying. Whenever I give a chalk answer, I always try to at least have an actual answer with it, right? Buffalo at 56, because they took Maxwell last night, they, in my personal opinion, should go whichever edge is best available. So whether that is Braden Swinson, who I think should go relatively early tonight, or Princely Umanmielen. Princely Umanmielen would make a lot of sense for Buffalo. Tui Maloau would make a lot of sense. So edge and receiver is the positions that I want Buffalo to attack tonight. All right, fellow Vikes fan, how do you feel about the Jackson pick over Johnson? So with Will Johnson, right? Let me go back to my big board here, right? So I have Will Johnson. You'll see if when I go back here, I have him at number 20. You see him right here. And I have Donovan Jackson at 42. So in theory, obviously a reach for Donovan Jackson. But I don't think there's that much of a difference between where Josh Connerly and, these players, Trey Amos, Shamar Stewart, I don't think there's that much of a difference between 29, 30, 31 and where Donovan Jackson is at 42. So my personal opinion on Donovan Jackson over Will Johnson is I'm fine with it because he has a high floor as a player. So I know people might say, well, that's because it's your team. But look, I've said before, and I will continue to stand by this, that if you select O-line, I am going to be fine with that more often than not if the value is there. Now, if you want to say, well, it's player 40, 37, or 38, somewhere in that range at 24, the reality is the Texans traded down for a reason because they were going to take Donovan Jackson. So I'm fine with it personally. All right. Your head must be fried with all this info. I appreciate you for making sick content, man. Big up, Maryland. I don't know. Does that mean you're from Maryland? Yeah, dude. Look, shout out Maryland. I mean, we can discuss state power rankings later, but I will stand by the fact that I do think Maryland is a top 5 state, and I'll leave it at that. Somebody said earlier, where was it here? I wanted to shout out this person. Where was it? Bullet says, what do you think of MSU's chances this year? Big love from Ireland. So Michigan State in football, I am not going to act like I know much, but I appreciate you supporting from Ireland. That is incredibly humbling. William, I see your comments. I'll just leave it at that. Super chat from Dabbler. Appreciate it. Thoughts on the Vikings trenches. Love the content. Keep it pushing. Got you. And look, I tweeted earlier. I actually want to pull up the exact tweet here so you guys can see the exact tweet. So I will. Let me just pull up this because I want to show you guys my exact thoughts on this. So I tweeted, for a decade, let me pull this bad boy up here. I tweeted, for a decade, I've been wanting a front office to address the offensive line in a big way, and Kwesi acquired 3 good players in one offseason with one of the best tackle duos in the league, maybe even the best. I'm incredibly excited to watch this team play this year. So that is where I stand on that. I mean, our offensive line is loaded, man, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. As an MSU fan, we're cooked. I like that. How many MSU fans are in here? Are there actually any more than 2 Michigan State fans in here? Watching at midnight in the UK, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. Let's see here. Will Shadur get drafted in the 2nd round? Yes. I would be very, very surprised if he's not. What's your thoughts on Nick Nash? So I want to pull up Nick Nash's profile. He's like 20. I mean, he's an okay player. Trevor has him really low. He has him at 228. I would have Nick Nash in that 190 to 210 range personally. But Nick Nash is a little slower than you'd like. He's also, like I said, he's 25. I know PFF has the age. Nick Nash is 25.7, so it would be 26, which is not good. And he's slow, and the Brown selection is in, and let's go ahead and go up here. It's Joe Thomas making the pick, and we're going to turn it up for whenever they're on the clock. Okay. All right, so Carson Schlesinger. Carson Schlesinger is a really good player. Now, I will, for the first couple of picks, I will go to... Oh, wait, let me pull up. I will have to... Just give me a sec. I want to pull up my big board just to give you an idea of where I have these guys. Because I do like Carson Schlesinger a lot. I think he is a really high floor player, and he will instantly upgrade a Browns defense that needs it. And when you have a linebacking duo now of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Carson Schlesinger, that is a pick I'm fine with. Now I do have Carson Schlesinger at player 49. I want to be able to zoom this out a hair, so that should do it better. That should work a little more there. So we have Carson Schlesinger at player 49. But like I said earlier, I don't think that there is that much of a difference between player 30 and player 49. So not to say that Carson Schlesinger could be the 30th ranked player in this class, but if you wanted to bump him up to 45, 46, somewhere in this area, maybe even 42, 43, I'd be fine with that. I think he would have been there at pick 36, so I don't want to get into this business of, well, they could have taken him a couple of picks later. If I had to give a grade for Carson Schlesinger here, and I'm actually going to make the picks as they're announced, I would probably give this a B-, because he helps fill a need with the Browns, and he helps upgrade a defense that desperately needs it, but I can't help but think that Luther Burden's a better receiver than Carson Schlesinger is a linebacker, and I also can't help but think that I still think Schlesinger would have been here in a couple of picks. So I don't necessarily hate the pick. I'm just not like head over heels, man. We got the guy, right? It's hard to get upset about a bad player. I'm just not, hey man, Luther Burden's there. So that's, and by the way, I'm just being honest as well. I try to be as transparent as possible, but I'm going to probably do that for the first couple of guys if, when Luther Burden is in fact available. So I like Carson Schlesinger as the player, but like I said, it's tough to justify, him over Luther Burden. All right, what other comments do we have, guys? Milrow to the Rams. I would love that. I would actually really love that. And I will be periodically just getting on the laptop here I like Carson Schlesinger, the player, but it's tough to justify selecting him over Luther Burden. So we will be active on the Twitter sphere. We will be active on here. All right, do the Patriots take Burden if available? They should. Dude, if the Patriots walk out with Will Campbell and Luther Burden, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. All right, we are selecting. The Texans are on the clock. It's our time now, baby. They better pick Burden. Come on. Or, no, give me Ursery. Okay, that's fine. Jaden Higgins is he's a big receiver, man. He's 6'4", 215, and DJ's comp for him was, ironically, Nico Collins. Look, guys, you have Nico Collins, you have Luther Burden. Look, I would have, or did I say Luther Burden? I meant Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins. Apologies if I did say that. Jaden Higgins is a good football player. Now, like I said, I will be going back and forth here. I did have Jaden Higgins. Let's see. I had Jaden Higgins. I had him. Where did I have him? Don't tell me I had him way low, because I know I liked him a lot, man. I know where did I have him? Help. Look, the point is I know I like Jaden Higgins a lot as a player, but he's 6'4", 210. He is, to me, a really, really good player. I had him at 53, but like I'll say this countless times, you could justify him anywhere in that 40 to 50 range. And we have a trade. Seattle is on the clock. Seattle is on the clock with Tennessee. I really don't like Tennessee. I no matter what happens, I really don't like the idea of Tennessee trading out of Luther Burden. Tennessee is on the clock, guys. So let's just go ahead and select Jaden Higgins here to the Texans. And Seattle traded. If anybody knows the trade details, please comment them if you know, because I'm going between the simulator, I'm going between tweeting, I'm going between the chat. So if you guys know the details, by all means, drop them. The idea of Tennessee trading out of Luther Burden. I really didn't. Let's just tweet that. Boom. I really don't. All right. Seattle moved up to Tennessee spot in exchange for 52 and 82. Appreciate that, Jonathan. And Green Draco as well. Appreciate that, guys. Appreciate that. All right, so that is the trade. All right. Okay, so 52 and 82. Let's go ahead and make this trade here with Seattle. What's funny is this will happen whenever there's a trade tonight. Like, oh, this team's actually not interested. Can we even make what? Oh, I think if I refresh this here. I think if I actually refresh, it'll come up because... Let's refresh this and see what happens. I've never done this. Oh, okay, so let's go live. And then is Seattle... Does it come up? That's actually pretty cool that PFF already did that. Okay, that's actually... Credit to the PFF, like... If anybody knows anybody that works at PFF behind the scenes, like, shout them out. Like, that's awesome. All right, so a couple super chats. Who should the Jags draft next? The Jags are not up for a while. Andrew Makuba would make a lot of sense. That they don't select until, like, 70, right? Makuba would make a lot of sense for them. And another defensive line would make sense, too. So if they drafted somebody like Alfred Collins, I'd be fine with that. Seattle is on the clock. And I'd be eager to see where they go here. Tristan, Texans want to kill C.J. Stroud. Oh, no. There we go. All right. When do the Texans select again? The Texans should have a pick near the end of the second round. 58. We'll see how the Texans board plays out. Put some background music on. Let's see if we can. Would anybody want background music? I mean, I could throw on a little. Let me know if you do. Would we want... Let me see. Actually, let me pull this up here. No? Okay, people are saying no. Because I was thinking here we could do... Hold on. Some people are saying yes. Don't get copyrighted. Good call, Speedy. Good call. I appreciate you looking out there. The pick is in for Seattle. All right, Titans needed a third-round pick. Put your own music on, people. Good call, Volcano. Okay, Volcano is he's a Titans fan. Please play music. Let's go here. I got a little something. I play this whenever let me turn it down. There we go. We have a little chill music. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Let me know if you can hear it. But we're live. We're having a good time. All right. Let's see. No more super chats to catch up on. All right. We have a little lo-fi. That's the go-to. So, play NFL 2K5 menu music. I'm eager for Seattle to make this pick, man. I just want to see where they go. I'm eager to see who they traded up for. They still have a second-round pick. Who are they trading up for? My official prediction here... Man, I think it's going to be Donovan Ezeraku. Are they... All right, off the dribble is off his rocker. He's just giving a little love. I appreciate it. All right, Burden to Pats. Dude, Burden to Pats would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense. The pick is in for Seattle. I'd appreciate if they would show who the pick is going to be. Can you guys hear the music or not? Let me know, because I'm playing it. But... All right, I've heard we can. All right. Somebody said no. I'll turn it up slowly. All right, turn it up 1. You don't think they'll go Mike Green? I'm not going to predict Mike Green for anybody because of the off the field. So I'm not going to say, hey, I don't know. Some teams might have him off their board completely. So All right, pick is in. Let's see where the pick is. I would just love for them to make the pick. Nobody's walking up to the stage. Oh, wait. I think somebody is walking up to the stage. But what's up, Gruka? How we doing? Mike Green might go undrafted. Oh, we have a pick. We have a pick. It's Richard Sherman, baby. Oh, they hate him in Green Bay. He's a legend, by the way. Sherman is a legend. Who are they going? Who are they going? Sherman, announce the pick, brother. Come on. Announce the pick. Okay.
The Tennessee Titans have traded the 35th pick to the Seattle Seahawks. With the 35th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Nick Emmanwori, DB, South Carolina.
Oh, man. Mike McDonald has his guy. Okay, so McDonald now has Nick Emmanwori in the back end. This is a good landing spot. This is a good landing spot for Emmanwori, man. Seahawks fans, you should be ecstatic. You should be ecstatic because I often get worried about players, you know, in bad landing spots. Now I have Emmanwori 48th on my board, as you guys can see here. But this is a tremendous landing spot for Nick Emmanwori, man. This is as good. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy for Seahawks fans. Like I said, I have him 48th. Nick Emmanwori to me is a very he's a very unique player. But now you have Spoon, you have Reek Woolen and an Emmanwori in the secondary. That's exciting. That is very, dude. I'm ecstatic. I am absolutely ecstatic for the Seahawks draft so far. I am absolutely ecstatic with the 2025 Seahawks draft class. Man, that's fun. All right, we have a super chat from Cheesecake. Appreciate it. Love your content. Keep up the great work. Who should the Cardinals pick this round? Cardinals are on the clock at pick 47. So they obviously took Walter Nolan last night. Love that selection for them. It's going to, I mean, I would still think the offensive trenches need some work. I don't know. The thing is Ariante Ursery would make sense for them, but we'll see where they go. There's also, I love BJ Ojulari, but do you really trust him? I mean, I like him a lot. Oh, the pick is already in for the Browns. Okay, so the pick is in. All right, the pick is in, guys. The pick is in. Please be Luther Burden. Like, please be Luther Burden. We're up. Luther Burden. Come on. Go, Luther. Go, Luther. Oh! Quinshawn stays in Ohio. Somebody asked if he was going to go to Denver in the third round. Quinshawn goes off the board. Now, unfortunately, I'm a big Nick Chubb fan. But he's already a free agent and everything, so that signifies that is the official end of the Nick Chubb tenure in Cleveland. But look, he's a good football player, and he is, to me, I mean, I'm not going to kill the value because, like I said, I like Quinshon Judkins a lot, but he's a really good AFC North running back. Now, I'm a little frustrated for Cleveland, admittedly. As much as I like Judkins and as much as I like Schlesinger, I think they are both floor-raising players. But I am a little underwhelmed, I guess, because you could have walked out with Donovan Ezeraku and Luther Burden, and you walk out with Carson Schlesinger and Quinshon Judkins. That would be my main thing here, is I'm a little underwhelmed by that specifically. So that would be my main gripe with that. But the thing is it's hard for me to sit here and say, hey, I absolutely hate the picks when Cleveland is improving and they still have the Jags first next year. So I hope that makes sense. Am I a Browns fan? I am not. I'm a Vikings fan. I am a Vikings fan. I think I'm pretty upfront about that. So yeah, I am a Vikings fan. And yeah. All right, let's go back to the chat here. What do we have, guys? Who's the best running back left via my big board? Good call. I had Quinshawn. Where did I have Quinshawn? I had him, I think it was 63. I had him at 63 on the big board. But like I said, there's not too much of a difference between 42 with Donovan Jackson and 60. There's the 30 to 80 is closer in this draft than it was last year. I'll say that. So, or 30 to 70. Now I think there is a drop off between, Anthony Belton, DJ Giddens, David Walker, then Braden Swinson, Donovan Jackson. I think there's a bit of a drop off there. But Quinshawn and who's the next? Quinshawn and Travion, there's not that much of a drop off, despite there being a 16 spot difference on the board. All right. Travion Henderson got to be a Cowboy. I would absolutely love that for them. And appreciate everyone being in here, by the way. If I have not said that already, I will say that a couple times tonight, that I appreciate everyone being in here. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. I know I'm having a good time. This is one of my favorite nights of the year, man. One of my favorite nights of the year. NFL Draft Day 2, to me, is the bread and butter of the draft. And this is... Oh, we have a trade. Miami's on the clock. Miami is on the clock. Anybody have the details? If anybody has the details, I would appreciate it. Let me check my phone here. The Raiders, Ian Rappaport just tweeted it. I will go back and forth here just to provide a little, or just to be able to check, just to keep up. If there is details and somebody has it from like a beat reporter or somebody, let me know. But the Dolphins are on the clock. Somebody said Miami getting Sanders. That would be crazy. Ryan, appreciate the super chat. Glad to see a live stream for the draft. Personally, love when you did it last year for round 1. Go Birds. Who are we taking next? So, the Birds are not on the clock again until pick 64. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if somebody, like, they took Jahad Campbell. What if Nick Scorton just falls to the Birds? That wouldn't surprise me. But, let's see here. Do we have a trade details yet? Do we have a trade details let me just look up Dolphins Raiders. And again, I'm trying not to get spoiled with the pick. So I don't want any spoilers. Okay, so we have 37 and 143. I'll read this in a minute because they're about to make the selection, it looks like. 37 and 143. Let's actually do this trade here. Let's do this trade here with Miami. Here it is. 37. Okay, so it's 37 and what is it? They get 98. Or hold on, 98 and 135 for 37 and 143. This trade will likely be accepted. The PFF simulator agrees with it. So, I'm going to be honest. I don't care for this trade value for the Raiders. You get 48, 98, and 130. I don't like this trade value that much for the Raiders, if I'm being honest. That's my initial thoughts. The Dolphins, who are they going to take? Who do we have here? We have a trade. Okay, so, okay. 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 Look. You guys are going to see my big board. You're not going to like it, Dolphins fans. I'm just going to be direct. You're not going to like where I have him. I know I was a little lower on Savaiinaea, but I know where I have him too. I have him at 101 on my big board. He's the first player outside the top 100 to be selected. Now, I will acknowledge I was lower than consensus on Savaiinaea. I still think, this is a good landing spot for him specifically. And he is trying to the thing is he helps the Dolphins offensive line in a big way. And for me in that situation, for Miami to trade up, it was Ariante Ursary would have made a lot of sense because they needed beef. So I'll be honest, I don't hate this pick for Miami. I know where I have him on my board, and I think it was a little bit of an overdraft, but the reality is they entered this draft needing Kenneth Grant, or not needing Kenneth Grant, but they needed help along the trenches. Now, based on my board, I have even if you want to say that Savaiinaea is the 80th best player and that I have him lower, I was close to consensus on Kenneth Grant, but I am at 26. So you selected 13th and you selected 37th, and you select the 26th best player and you select the 101st best player, at least on my board. I'll at least credit Miami that they are, they're doing what they need to do. I'll say that, right? But they're also in a tough situation because the offensive line run kind of happened at the end of last night. And there's a drop off here, man. I'm not a Marcus Bowe guy. At least at 37, I would not be a Marcus Bowe guy. I would be fine with Ursery. I would have preferred Ursery. But Miami, the reality is Miami needed to do something, and I respect anytime a team attempts to do something, even if it is a little overvalued. So I do think the value is a little not great there for Miami, but that'd be where I stand on that. All right, let's see here. Drew13, appreciate it. I know you didn't like the value of the Falcons giving up next year's first, but what do you think of Jalen Walker, James Pierce, or both will be hits? So, Drew, my biggest thing is I do want to talk more about that, and we'll talk more about that over the weekend and everything. My problem is, and this unfortunately, and this is on me, by the way, this isn't like this is on me, my disdain for the trade that they made overshadowed my thoughts on James Pierce. I had James Pierce 24th on my board. So the value itself really wasn't bad for James Pierce at 26. You could argue it's actually pretty good, especially if if the off the field is fine. But the players themselves at 15 and 26 are fine. And the thing is Atlanta desperately needed to upgrade the defense. So in that sense, I love that they're actually doing that. But I also think there's a reality where, okay, at least from GM Terry Fontenot's standpoint, that if it doesn't work out, he's probably not going to make the pick next year anyway. So the more that I think about it, I'm not going to act like I love the trade, but I do like the acquisitions of James Pierce and Jalen Walker. And I don't want to get into, or let me think how to word this here. I don't want to get into okay, you want them to add defensive players, they add defensive players, and you still complain. I complain about the trade because I don't think it was good value to move up 20 spots for James Pierce, to give up a next year's first. That was the main thing. But overall, I'm happy for Atlanta, at least for doing that. All right, there's a lot of people that are supposedly edging in the chat. I've been seeing a lot of this. Let's see here. Let's see what else we have here, guys. Let's see what else we have. Vikings moving up? No chance. Oh no, the Patriots are still on the clock. The pick is not in yet. Do you think the Jags overpaid for Hunter? If it works out, no. But I mean, look, they got one of the best. I mean, to some people, the best player in the draft. And you're in a pivotal year with Trevor Lawrence, where it's really now or never for him, and you gave him a $250 million contract. They kind of, in some ways, corner themselves to either drafting, in my opinion, Hunter or Tetero and McMillan at 5, and they went up to 2 and got Hunter. So I'm fine with it personally. All right, I really want this to be Luther Burden, guys. Like, Will Campbell and Luther Burden is a home run. Like, make it happen. Make it happen. No spoilers, by the way. The thing is, the Patriots are in a good position to draft a good player. Whether it's Will Johnson, whether it's Ezaraku, they're in a good position to draft a good player. Scorton would be a good player. Pick is in for the Patriots. I really want this to be Luther Burden for the sake of Drake May. And then the Bears are up. So we have some division rival action going on here. So we'll see where this goes. I want to see where the Patriots go. And the pick is in. Pick is in, baby. All right, let's go, baby. Let's go. Patriots are on the clock. Or Patriots are making the selection. All right. Please no spoilers in the chat. I don't know who the pick is. I don't know. Don't know who the pick is. Official prediction is Luther Burden. It makes too much sense for the Patriots to not take Luther Burden here at pick 38. And if you guys are enjoying, like I said, please drop a like. We're at 157. Let's try and get that up to 200. You know, let's try and get it up to 200, baby. Let's go. That's a challenge. That's a challenge, if you will. All right, let's go. Here we go. Luther Burden, you are a New England Patriot. Come on, make it happen. Okay. Okay. Travion Henderson goes to the New England Patriots. All right. I can get behind. I mean, I can look. It fits a need. He's a good player, and in theory, I know we've been talking about getting getting protection for Drake May. Travion Henderson legitimately thumped guys in pass protection, and he's not a halfback that makes business decisions. He's not a little, like one of those guys that just barely stick their hands out. He's also a really good running back, aside from the improved pass pro from the running back position. So, look, New England gets an upgrade. I wanted Luther Burden, but look, their class so far is Will Campbell and Travion Henderson, and this is a Mike Vrabel draft. Adding Will Campbell and Travion Henderson are both Mike Vrabel picks. And I mean that in the absolute best way possible. Because they're both kick rear ends players. Take names later. They are both, I'm going to do absolutely anything for the team. And sure, I would have preferred Burden, but I can get behind what the Patriots are doing. And I like it. They didn't have, I mean, I was not the biggest fan when they took Jalen Polk last year, like when Ladd McConkey was right there, or I was not the biggest fan of that, but this is what I can get behind. I can get behind Travion Henderson, so I like it. Somebody saying, let's just edge it out, guys. All right. Tebow going to the Falcons. Pound the rock. Exactly, Cooper. Exactly. Pound the rock. This is one I can get behind. I can get behind that one. Caleb Johnson goes to the Bears. Oh, dude, that would be... Oh, come on, man. That would actually be awful for me. And the thing is, there's a chance it happens. So, I'm eager to see where this goes from here. Dude decides to spend his time in a YouTube chat spouting nonsense. What nonsense are we talking about here? In your opinion, why do teams not always go best talent available and reach for position needs? There's several reasons. The thing is first off, there's a human element where I know, Casey. I know what you meant, brother. I know what you meant. There's a part where like jobs are on the line, so it's like, okay, this player may be better, but hey, if we take a linebacker right now, and that's the 20th best player in the class, when a receiver is the 40th best player, is the linebacker going to help us put up yards that we need on offense this year? And is that going to help keep my job next year? No, not necessarily. So that's one of the reasons. But there's also a possibility that teams just aren't as high on players as maybe I am. Maybe other media members are. So it just depends. Going to bed. Good night. Okay. Good night. Bill. That's a hell of a name there. Bill. All right. Shadur finna be a third-round pick. Shadur's, like I said this before the chat started, or before the draft started tonight. I thought Shadur was gonna be, he's gonna wait a little bit. He's gonna wait a little bit tonight, and we've actually been streaming for a while now. What is it? Close to an hour? It's close to an hour, right? That's crazy. Damn, time flies, man. I freaking love you guys. Like this is peak, man. This is actually peak. Like this is awesome. What are your thoughts on the Raiders trade? I honestly wasn't the biggest fan of the Raiders trade. So let's take a look here at the Raiders selections. Not the Cardinals. They have 48, 68, 98. I just, like I said, with the players available, I would have preferred them to take somebody there. But that's just me. The pick is in for the Bears. I'm eager to see where they go here. Good morning. Okay, anyway, Bill is back. Bill is back. All right. No spoilers in the chat, please. No spoilers in the chat. I want to give an authentic reaction. I mean, this is a division rival here, guys. This is a division rival. The thing is Ryan Poles generally drafts well, man. It's just Matt Eberflus did a tremendous job of prohibiting making progress last year. All right, let's see here. Just don't be Luther. Don't be Caleb Johnson. They're going to take a good player, and I know it. Here we go. Come on, who are we taking? Just don't be Luther or Caleb Johnson. Just no Luther or Caleb Johnson, and we're good. Man, that stinks, man. I am so sick of Ryan Poles having... I am so sick of Ryan Poles having phenomenal drafts. Literally anybody but Luther Burden. The Bears' offense is so scary, man. Damn, man. They're so good. They are so, like, they're off, like, I don't, I mean, people are going to make jokes. Yes, I'm triggered right now because I love Luther Burden, right? Now he's on the Bears. Now, I loved Rome Odunze last year, and, of course, he's on the Bears, and I am just sick of the Bears having just phenomenal drafts, man. Credit to Ryan Poles, and by the way, like, I'm sick of it because they're a division rival. Now, from an analyst standpoint, like, they are doing an absolutely phenomenal job. They are, and credit to them. But it's frustrating just because, like, knowing you're going to have to go against that. And Ben Johnson is, as far as I'm concerned, he's the answer head coach. Like, he is the guy. This is not little Matt Eberflus. This is not little Matt Nagy. This is a guy that, you know, can take control of the room, legitimately leads. Oh, man, Luther Burden is so good, man. Luther Burden is so good. Yes, I watched the Bears last year. I am good for the Bears, man. Good for the Bears and their fan base. I mean, truly good for the Bears and their fan base. Good for them, man. But Caleb, DJ, Rome, Luther, Colston, Loveland. And the thing is, they still have they can still take Caleb Johnson. They can still take, you know, a lot. I mean, there's several good running. Caleb Johnson would just be like the nightmare scenario. That would be the nail in the coffin of just the Bears having... He's so good that he lasted this long. Great analysis. Yes, Brian Branch also lasted to pick 45. He was like the 20th best player in the class. He should have been selected a lot later. This happens every year. All right, anyway. I'm so upset as a Packers fan. I get it, man. I get it. Shadur Sanders makes a lot of sense here, by the way. Somebody said, here goes Sanders. What position do I think the Cowboys should go for? They're coming up. Caleb Johnson makes a lot of sense to either the Bears or Cowboys. So that's certainly a possibility. I would have said Luther for the Cowboys. But I think Caleb Ezeraku, the fact that he's still on the board is a joke, man. I mean, he's such a good player. All right. Who do I have going to the Colts? Let's let the board play out for a couple minutes here, to be honest with you. Right now, Shadur Sanders, I think, will go in the next 3 picks. Whether it's the Saints or the Jets, I think Shadur will be going in the next couple of picks. All right. Mason Taylor to the Jets. There's an interesting one. I like that idea, by the way. All right. Caleb Johnson to the Bears only makes sense. Let me say this. I hate that you're right, because it does make sense. Skull. Absolutely, Skull. Everyone, drop your prediction for the Saints pick. I'm going Shadur. I legitimately think this is Shadur. Because you took Kelvin Banks. Now you have Kelvin Banks. You have Talisi Fuaga. You'll have... I mean, Cesar Ruiz is okay. The interior offensive line is not bad. And they lost their center early in the year last year. So I'm going Shadur for my pick here. And if you take him in the second round, it's a lot different than, hey, we spent the number 9 overall pick on this guy. So I legitimately think that this is where Shadur goes. And I'm being so serious when I say that. The pick is in. Please no spoilers, by the way, because I'm sure you can go look up accounts right now that have tweeted. I'm going to try not to look at the chat, but all right, so let's go here. The pick is in. Don't go to commercial on me. NFL Network. I think there's a decent chance this is Shadur, and I want to look at the chat and start reading comments. But I'm not, just in fear of that this could very well be Shadur. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But the thing is I could easily see this being Shadur. So, again, I'm not going to look at the chat. Here we go. We're getting announced right now. Here we go. Come on. Is that Ramczyk? Oh, damn. I'll talk about Ryan Ramczyk in a second for a couple reasons, but I think it's going to be Shadur. Whoa! Whoa! Tyler Shuck is the selection. Oh, man. I was not expecting that. I legitimately thought... That's a shocker right there. I legitimately thought the Saints were taking Shadur, and they take Tyler Shuck at number 40. That's crazy. That is crazy. That is wild, man. They take... Okay, so Tyler Shuck, to go back to the big board here, he is, I had him, I want to say at 81. I had Tyler Shuck at 81, but again, I go back to the 60, like the 65 to 80, there's not that much of a difference. I really broke down Tyler Shuck in the quarterback video that I did a couple weeks ago. Now, I definitely don't agree with the 133rd best player in the class. Tyler Shuck is a player that if you have an offensive line in front of him, he can be a solid quarterback, but there's legitimate durability concerns. There's also times where Tyler Shuck, because of the durability concerns and because that he will be 26 years old, he will turn 26 during his rookie season, that I think there's kind of like a factor in his head where, you talk about guys, getting worried about the pass rush and, hey, we're getting in this guy's head. Because Tyler Shuck has had so many injuries, I think that really, regardless of the pass rush, even if it's not the Eagles' pass rush this year that they had with all of the guys, it's kind of already there regardless. So there's times where Tyler Shuck will just, kind of get the, like what I used to call it with Kirk Cousins, where when he would be under pressure, he would get the, like one of those, like under pressure. And that pick surprised me, man. That really surprised me. I'm a Louisianan and a big Saints fan. That was a crazy pick. All right. Any Saints fans in here, please let me know how you feel. I really want... How do you... Buffalo traded up. Buffalo is on the clock. Oh, man. This makes so much sense for them to go Ezeraku. Buffalo, come on. Brandon Beane, give me Ezeraku. Saints fans, how do we feel, by the way? I want to know how Saints fans feel. All right. L. Saints said somebody, I want to see the draft room for Sanders today. That'd be... Oh, man. Brandon Beane. Sheldon called the trade up. He called the trade up. They had 2 second-round picks. Come on, give me Ezeraku. Give me Ezeraku or Scorton. Give me one of those guys. Come on. You got to get after the quarterback. Give me one of those guys to play opposite Greg Rousseau. Imagine Buffalo take Sanders. Yeah, they want some competition in the quarterback room. Back-to-back, yeah. The Bills, okay, Johnny, I appreciate you. The Bills traded, 56-62. Is this confirmed? Hold on here. You're 56, let me just confirming, 109 to Chicago. Okay, so Johnny, I appreciate you, this is incredible that you have this right here. So it is 56-62 for 41-72, and they also traded 109 for, then 240. So this trade will likely be accepted. The PFF simulator also likes the trade. Initial thoughts. I like this selection. I like this for Buffalo. Because there's a lot of great players on the board. So Buffalo has a chance to draft. Let's go back to my big board here for a second. There's a legitimate chance that Buffalo can take Donovan Ezeraku, who I have at number 17 overall, Nick Scorton at 22 overall. There's a legit chance they can take one of those guys. So I'm happy for this, man. I am ecstatic for Buffalo here. I really want them to go Ezeraku. I really, really want them to go Ezeraku. Ezeraku or Scorton. Like Brandon Beane, I'm hoping we go. They need Ezeraku. They need one of them. And like I said, I'm not going to discuss the Mike Green situation that much because I'm not in the war rooms. I'm not discussing that situation. Same thing with Will Johnson. I don't know how many teams just basically said, hey, this guy's knee could be degenerative the same way Todd Gurley's was. He might play a year and he's done. I'm not getting in that conversation. So with those two, I'm not really going to talk about too much aside from mentioning that fact. But I'm ecstatic here for Buffalo, man. You just took Maxwell Hairston. Give me, come on, Bean. Give Brandon Bean. Come on, give me Ezeraku. Give me Scorton. All right, let's go here, man. I'm ecstatic for Bills fans here. All right, let's go. Give me Ezeraku or Scorton. What do we got, guys? What's the chat saying? Guys, I do want predictions. Sheldon says, who is a Bills fan, he says he would also take Amos, build the quarterback room. I'm a fan of that as well. I would like that as well for Buffalo. As a Saints fan, I'm okay with Mike Green. I mean, you just took Tyler Shuck. When did the Saints select again? They're not going to be for a while. We have a super chat. What wide receivers are left? I like Ryan Williams. You mean Kyle Williams? Is there a Ryan Williams in this class that I'm not aware of? I was going to say, I knew... Okay, that's definitely Kyle Williams. But, no, here's the receivers. I like Io Manor a lot. He was 40 on my big board. I had Jack Besh at 50. Kyle Williams is good as well. Jalen Royals, to me, is just... He can be a wide receiver, too. So, these are the main guys. These are the main four. I think there's a little bit of a drop after this. Those are the main four that I would say. All right, what is the chat saying? Basil Tootin. Look, I'm a big Basil Tootin guy, man. I'm a big Basil Tootin. I'm a big fan of Scootin' Tootin here. All good, Speedy. I got you. All good. I appreciate the super chat, man. All good. Yeah, Ryan Williams is going to be awesome for Alabama, and so will Jeremiah Smith. All right, Brandon Bean. Give me Ezeraku. Give me Scorton. I'm invested, man, because I get to a point where, like, I just want guys in good situations, and Ezeraku is he's one of my guys in this class. I love Donovan Ezeraku. All right, we're making the pick. Come on. Come on. Ezeraku or Scorton. He's right there. I don't hate it. I just don't think the value was there. I don't dislike the pick. I had my mind on edge. Now, I will say this. This is a solid selection in the fact that you really are hitting a need which Buffalo desperately needs. They need bigger bodies along the interior defensive line. TJ Sanders is a really solid he's a really solid pass rushing defensive tackle. So I'm not going to be upset with this pick, mainly because we just saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl when he had Milton Williams and when he had Jalen Carter right at him. So I'm not going to be upset with this pick when you have Ed Oliver and TJ Sanders and when you have Greg Rousseau getting after the quarterback. Now, would I have preferred Ezeraku or Nick Scorton? Admittedly, yes. But look, TJ Sanders will upgrade the unit. He will push the pocket, which Buffalo, again, needs, and every team needs for that matter, too. And I also think he's a solid player against the run. So like I said, I would have preferred one of the edge rushers. But for reference, I had TJ Sanders 61 on my board. You go anywhere this 55 to anywhere, like I said, I've said this several times, there's not that much of a drop off between Darius Alexander and TJ Sanders. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, hey, I would take Darius Alexander at 29 and I wouldn't take TJ Sanders in the top 50. You know what I mean? There's not that much of a difference. I just would have preferred one of the edges in that specific situation. But you can get after the quarterback more from the interior, and we saw the Eagles bully the hell out of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So for what it is, you traded up to get him. I don't know if he would have been there later, but would have preferred the edges, but I'm not going to absolutely kill the pick for Buffalo. All right. Let's see here. OZ, appreciate the super chat watching from Western New York. I was barely paying attention a minute ago. Now, Buffalo did make it interesting. And I like everybody. I like all the Bills fans are blowing up the chat right now. The Bills fans are definitely talking. I like the wings. I like the wing emojis in the chat, by the way. I do like the wing emojis in the chat. And I will say, by the way, I like I do want to try wing nuts in Buffalo if we want to have that conversation. Wing nuts, barbells, Duffs, Anchor Bar. Anchor Bar is, I know it's technically a chain, But Anchor Bar is also really good. So if we want to have that wing conversation right now about Western New York, by all means, state your place, where you stand on that. But the Jets pick is in at 42. All right. Let's see here. Sanders is technically off the board. All right. Did you know Derek Harmon's mom was on life support? Yes, that was incredibly sad. Derek Harmon, Steelers first round pick. He rushed to the hospital to tell his mom that he was drafted, and then shortly after she passed away. So, rest in peace to Derek Harmon's mom. I don't know this, and I don't know. Maybe this was tweeted, or maybe this was out. Maybe she found out. Maybe somebody told. Well, actually, I guess I don't know. But that's just. Rest in peace. Truly, rest in peace to her. Let's see here. Wingnuts. I think you mean. Anyway, that's a transition there. I know the Jets pick, and I'm happy. Won't say it. I appreciate it. The thing is they're on commercials, so I don't like the. I don't like the commercials in between the picks. So. If I had to guess for the Jets, who's the best D lineman available? I don't think Norman. Who is my best defensive lineman available here? We have, who is still available? There's guys in the top 40. I do know that. Tyleek went last night. Derek Harmon went last night. Maybe not. Maybe my best defensive lineman available is. It's a little later. Darius Alexander is the best one at 51. I would like that for the Jets. Norman Lott's a good player, but. We'll see where the Jets go. Tight end also would make a lot of sense for the Jets. All right. I don't feel confident that trade was worth it for Buffalo. I don't either, man. Because if you would have said it was for Ezaraku, I'm all for it. But we'll see. It must be upsetting to get drafted by the Jets. Personally disagree. Hey, look. I'll be a 27-year-old prospect next year. I'm 26 now. They want to take me in the first round and, give me a nice little 4-year, $20 million contract. I'll sign right up. Now, I'm not going to make it out of training camp, whether it's to a broken everything or a torn ACL or something. I'm not going to make it out of training camp, but I'll gladly get drafted by the Jets. Just full transparency. I mean, let's just call that what it is. Hopefully somebody got a chuckle out of that one. Hopefully somebody got a good laugh out of that one, but I'm 26, about to hit the running back cliff. I know, I am about to hit the running back cliff. That is weird to think that, by that standard, I'm old, that I am unk status, if you will, at the running back position. I'm not gonna lie, that does. Whenever, I'll have, an 18-year-old tweet at me, hey, unk, and I'll tweet something, and, I'll remember something from, 2006, and I'm just like, oh, that's tough. That's a tough one. Here, Jets are on the clock, baby. My official prediction for the Jets. I'm going Elakayo Manor. Elakayo Manor, baby. Drop your predictions. Okay, I can get behind that one. Okay. I'm not surprised by that. I heard the Jets really needed it. Not that I heard, not that that's some secretive, but I knew they were a little higher on Mason Taylor and Elijah Arroyo both than consensus. So the fact that they take him at 42 doesn't surprise me. Now, Mason Taylor is, he kind of plays like a former player's kid. Not that Jason Taylor was a tight end, of course. But it's the fact that whenever you have a former player's kid, a lot of the time, I had him at 77 overall, by the way. But a lot of the time, they do things the right way. You don't have to worry about, technique being wrong. They do things the right way because from a young age, things are instilled in them that maybe aren't for somebody like myself who's not a son of Jason Taylor, right? If I were to go out there and play tight end, I might have bad habits that Mason Taylor doesn't, for example, right? So I think he's definitely an upgrade. They lost Tyler Conklin in free agency. I'm not the biggest fan of the value there. But the thing is you get in a conversation of, okay, well, they select again at pick 73, probably wouldn't have been there at pick 73. And we also don't know, was anybody even offering to come up? I think the Jets reached a little bit for Mason Taylor, but they give Justin Fields a weapon, and that is a positive. But I think the value was a little off. I'll just say that, a little off there. All right, let's see here. my opinion on West Virginia's Wyatt Milam. I love him. I'll talk more about that in a second. But San Francisco is about to make the selection.
With the 43rd pick in the 2025 class, the 49ers select Alfred Collins, D-tackle.
Whoa, okay. Look, I love Alfred Collins. Love Alfred Collins, man. Alfred Collins is one of my guys. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think the value is a little off there as well, but I love Alfred Collins, and I love the landing spot. I love Alfred Collins, and I love the landing spot. Great selection for the 49ers. Sorry, I had to tweet that, so that was all I was doing there. But no, look, Alfred Collins, man, he is, you want one word to describe him, it's beef. He is going to be the guy to plug up those holes along the defensive line. So last night I said that Micah Williams was a bit of a reach, and I still do stand by that, especially at pick 11. But the fact that you have Alfred Collins and Micah Williams and Nick Bosa along the defensive line, and the fact that you are trying to rebuild the trenches the right way, and we also talk about, you know, having players on discounts with the rookie contracts and everything, right? This was a position of need that the 49ers desperately needed. So, let's see where I think I had Alfred around like the 73 area. I had him at 71 on my big board, right? Sure, it's a little early, but this is a direct position of need, and it's going to make guys' jobs easier on the back end, like Renardo Green, who was a second-round pick last year, or Diamador Lenore, for example. So, Alfred Collins, to me, he's the kind of the definition of a good football player, and I like him a lot. Best draft room drop ever. Is that a bait? Like, do you want me to say Shadur? Shadur's going to keep falling, guys, unless somebody trades up for him, because nobody's going to take him. Who's going to take him? I mean, look! Just look at this run that we have here. I mean, Indy I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. Dallas, of course, isn't, because they just paid Dak. So, Shadur's going to keep falling. As far as I am concerned, guys, he is going to continue to fall. But, all right. If the Packers do it right, they can walk away with 2 top 30 players. You're right. You are right. Man, the Bears really have Luther Burden and Colston Loveland and everybody else. They're going to be tough, man. Let's see here. Pick is in for the Cowboys. Again, please, no spoilers. I have no idea who this pick is going to be. Caleb Johnson makes a lot of sense. I will say that. I still can't believe Donovan Ezeraku this year is my guy of the Brian Branches of the world, where it's like, what are they, like, why? I mean, he should be gone. He should be already in another city talking about, yeah, I can't wait to get after the quarterback this year. He should already be in another city, man. This is one I don't get. All right. Maybe he gets selected here. Maybe he gets selected here, because Donovan Ezeraku and Micah Parsons would be incredible. So we'll see. Should Minnesota go up and get Will Johnson? I'm not going to talk about the Will Johnson part I'm not going to talk about Will Johnson because I simply don't know the medicals, and just say like, well, they should do this because, you know, Will Johnson, the chance of him succeeding is far better than the chance of him never playing, when I don't know the answer to that. Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the conversations. I'm not speed dialing Quasi here and saying, hey buddy, give me the rundown. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would just leave it at that. I don't know. Just because of the health, I would say no. And by the way, that doesn't apply to just Minnesota. That applies for every team. Because if no team has selected him in the top 43, when very clearly, based on tape, he is not just a top 43 player. I mean, he's a top 20 player, top 25 player, really at worst. If one team hasn't taken a gamble yet, then I would venture to say that it's not good. I would venture to say it's bad. That's my personal opinion. But we'll see. All right. By the way, can you guys hear the background music? I've been playing it for a while. Let me know if you can. Is it worth it? If not, I'll turn it off. Let me know. But the pick is in for the Cowboys. My official prediction, Donovan Ezeraku for the Dallas Cowboys. But the pick is in. They look pretty happy. They do look pretty happy. No, we can't hear it. All right, well, I'm going to turn it off then. I appreciate it. Turn it off. All right, it is off. I don't hear music. Okay, well, I've been playing for the past half hour, so that's, all right. That's fine. Donovan Ezeraku is my prediction. Drop your prediction for the Cowboys pick, by the way. I'm eager to see is there any Cowboys fans, what they think. Here we go. Oh, this is a big boy making the selection. Who is this? This is a big fella making the selection. Who is it? Oh, it's Travis Frederick. Oh, he's from Wisconsin. He's a Wisconsin guy. Come on, Ezeraku, my guy. Come on. Yes, baby, let's go. Let's go. That's my guy. Let's go. Donovan Ezeraku, Micah Parsons. That is a duo. That is a duo. And by the way, I had no idea that was the selection, but it just makes so much sense. I'm ecstatic for the Cowboys, man. I can't emphasize enough how much I love the pairing of Donovan Ezeraku and Micah Parsons. A+ pick as an edge rushing duo. That is, love it, man. I'm so happy for the Cowboys, man. That is, like I said, the longer that I do this, it's like I just want, guys to succeed. I want guys to be in good situations. I'm ecstatic for Ezeraku, man. And somebody said, let's go, new D-Law. I love that. DeMarcus Lawrence, of course, went to Seattle this offseason. I'm happy for the Cowboys, man. That's awesome. By the way, I went to Mobile. I went to Mobile for the Senior Bowl this past year. Or back in January, not this past year, but I went to Mobile back in January. I was on my way home, flying from Mobile to Dulles, which is the D.C. airport, if anybody doesn't know what Dulles is. And I sat next to Donovan Ezeraku on the plane on the way home. So that was pretty cool. And I wasn't like, hey man, I run the YouTube channel Football Analysis. I wasn't like harassing him, but it was just cool because it was like, hey, like we got off the plane. I was just like, hey man, like good luck moving forward. I'm rooting for you, and I'm ecstatic for Ezeraku, man. I love the landing spot. Absolutely love the landing spot. My ex-wife says, I'm breaking crap right now. I wanted Ezeraku. I don't blame you. I wanted Ezeraku. This is a chef's kiss, man. And let's talk about plus value. They selected him at 44. I had Ezeraku at 17, and I had, where's Tyler Booker, at 35. So they selected at, 44 and 12, that's 56. 35 and 17 is 52. That's plus 4 on the big board for the Cowboys. And even if you didn't like the Tyler Booker selection, you thought it was a reach, just switch the Ezeraku and Booker picks, and it all works out. Colts are on the clock. They're making the pick now. Is this Jonathan Taylor? Oh, it is. What's up, JT? My prediction is Nick Scorton. Come on, JT. What do we got?
With the 45th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, my Indianapolis Colts select JT
Tuimoloau.
Ohio State.
Okay. They take JT. JT Tuimoloau is, to me, he is a rock-solid football player. For reference, let's go ahead and go to the big board here. I know I had JT a little lower, but I see JT Tuimoloau. I'm actually really surprised I had him at 75. Like I said, you can interchange a lot of these guys from this area, but JT is a rock-solid player. I do like JT Tuimoloau, and to me, he is going to be a player that has a lower ceiling, but they took Latu last year in the first round. So you take Latu last year, and now you pair him with JT Tuimoloau. You also have Kwity Paye in a contract year, and pretty quickly you have multiple guys that can get after the quarterback. And you also upgraded the secondary this offseason by bringing in a couple of guys in free agency in Charvarius Ward and Cam Bynum. So this is a pretty improved unit for the Colts and Chris Ballard. And this, to me, I would add JT Tuimoloau in the bucket of drafting good football players. So, like the pick for Indy, I know I'm a little lower on him, but I think he can be a Robin to another pass rusher's Batman. So that is where I would stand on that. Somebody asked, where do I go for the live draft ticker? Honestly, I don't know if the live draft ticker is, if you're asking for the volume, I just have it playing in the background. That would be the answer to that. So that would be the answer to that one. All right. His JT Tuimoloau's pro comparison is Tuli Tuipulotu. That's got to be racist. That's the Tuipulotu is he's a really good player for the Chargers. I liked him a lot a couple years ago in the draft process. Shadur goes here. I don't think Shadur would go to the Rams personally, but that's just me. Catherine Berger says Donovan Jackson is a large dude. Can't wait to see him on our offensive line. Skull. I agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's that kind of sums it up. That sums it up. So, how do we feel about the Bears taking LB3? I'll give this two answers. As a Vikings fan, I hate it because of how good of a player he is. Now, as an analyst, look, you have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet, and the offensive line with everybody they brought in this offseason. And the fact that this is a good running back class and that they're still probably not done bringing in guys. Look, the Bears are killing it. I know people absolutely love getting their jokes in about the Bears and, oh, the Bears are offseason champions again. And I get it. And I will say that I'm all in on the Bears again. I know I said it last year. I'm going to be all in on the Bears again this year. I'm getting in front of it. I am acknowledging that. But there is a difference between Matt Eberflus and Ben Johnson. There is such a difference between Shane Waldron calling plays and Ben Johnson. So, all right. By the way, who do we think the Rams go with here? Who do we think the Rams take? I'm curious here. I could see the Rams drafting Trey Amos. Trey Amos makes a lot of sense. I would actually really love that for the Rams. So I think Trey Amos will be my official prediction. Jalen Milroe would be crazy. Whoever did say, let's see here. Tyler did say that. That would be crazy. Terrence Ferguson, I think it's a little early for Terrence Ferguson. But for reference, let's just take a look at the big board here. We are at pick 46. Benjamin Morrison on the board. He could very easily fall for medical. He could fall for that. But Trey Amos, I had him at 30th. If they take him at 46 and acquire a 2026 first, that would be incredible by the Rams. That would just be an incredible process. And I would absolutely love that for the man that says F those picks. That'd be a very just sound result. Chris Paul Jr. is a good player. Somebody asked earlier where I thought Chris Paul Jr. goes. You could make the case for 10 or 12 different teams. To me, he was a player that I watched. The thing is, you watch guys back in January, you write your notes down. And look, Chris Paul to me was a rock-solid player. He doesn't miss a lot of tackles. He is a really good coverage linebacker. The only thing is he's a little light. So you could say in some ways that you don't want him necessarily in that many run situations. And I understand that, and I also acknowledge that. But I do like Chris Paul a lot. Chris Paul Jr., ironically, is not the son of that Chris Paul. He's the son of Chris Paul, just not the Chris Paul. All right. Snead is such a smooth operator. Yeah, he doesn't get enough credit. There's a couple of GMs that don't get enough credit. The Rams are clapping their hands. I'm eager to see who this player is. I'm really eager to see who this player is. All right, it says the pick is in. No spoilers, please, in the chat. But I think Trey Amos makes the most sense. It would be very Rams to trade. I mean, they've been doing a really good job over the past couple of years, just in general. And there's a reason that they gave the Eagles the best game out of anybody in this past postseason. There's a reason for that. I mean, that doesn't happen by accident. So if anybody thinks that, hey, the Rams aren't that good. No, they are that good. Or maybe not that good, but just maybe not that serious of a contender. No, they're a damn good football team. Who's making this pick? It is a big boy. Who is this player? Former player. Maybe. Oh, it's Michael Brockers. I do. Good call, Michael. Good call. Shout out LAFD. Shout out the LAFD. Whoa! Credit to first off, credits. Somebody called that in the chat. Big time credit where it's due. Terrence Ferguson to me is, look, he's not. I'm a little lower on Terrence Ferguson than I thought I would have been based on where he was last year. I have Terrence Ferguson as my. Hold on, where is he? Don't tell him I have him. Where do I have him? I know I'm a little lower on Terrence Ferguson, but I think he's a solid tight end. I think he's a kind of a higher floor tight end. Now, I did have Terrence Ferguson. Where is he? Come on, man. Where is he? The point is, I had him a little lower. I had him at pick player 100, right? So I think he's going to be a kind of a high floor tight end, as high of a floor as you can have for player 100 in a class. I think he's going to have a relatively limited ceiling, but he will come in and upgrade the receiving room or the tight end room, obviously. And that's good for the Rams. And what's also good for Terrence Ferguson in this situation is you are going to be in a room, or not be in a room rather, but you're going to be on the same team as Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams. So if Terrence Ferguson doesn't develop, if he doesn't become a guy, it's 3rd and 7, Puka's double covered, Devontae is covered with shade his side, we're going one-on-one linebacker on tight end, make a play, it's going to be on him. So I like the landing spot for him. I just think it's a little early. Would have preferred Trey Amos. Now, the Cardinal selection is actually in, and it's currently being made. Trey Amos, make it happen. Well, Pat Pete, what's up, man? Oh, there we go. Will Johnson off the board. Will Johnson off the board. All right, let's go here. Will Johnson. My 20th best player gets taken off the board at pick 47. Look, the reality is Walter Nolan and Will Johnson is a hell of a draft class. That's all there is to say. That is all there is to say about this pick. Now, I will say this for any Cardinals fans, because I know Cardinals fans, they're kind of few and far between, but the Cardinals fans they're loud. They love supporting the Red Sea, if you will. This is a great start to really not start rather, but just continuation to building your football team. The Cardinals last year were not a bad team. I know they're not really talked about, but they finished 8-9 and they were a couple of plays away from being 10-7, 11-6, and the way they are building their team is a process that I love. They bring in Josh Sweat in free agency. They draft Walter Nolan. Now they draft Will Johnson, and now they have Sean Murphy Bunting and Will Johnson and Garrett Williams and Max Melton, who they took in the 2nd round last year. I love this. And by the way, the Terrence Ferguson, somebody did say that Higbee is slept on. That does allow the Rams to run more 12 personnel in order for them to run the football more and to play big boy football, which I'm sure is what Sean McVay wants to do. So good call out there. The good call, Danny, who sent the Raiders are trading the pick. Good call there. They are trading the pick to the Texans. I'm genuinely begging here as much as I can for them to take Ariante Ursary. So if anybody, let's see if we can get the trade here. I'm looking for a trade. Details. If anybody has trade details, by all means, please send them. Please send the trade details if we have them. We do not, no spoilers. We're requesting everybody to not spoil. But if anybody can, I know Johnny was sending them earlier. If anybody could send the trade details, I'm looking for the details on Twitter. I'm trying not to search though, because I know if I specifically search for the trade, here it is, 48 for 58 and 99. Okay, so here it is, 58. Let's go with the Texans here. 50. Let's see what the PFF simulator says. Okay, so I'm going to be honest here. Let's see here, 67, 23. I don't like this process from the Raiders, man. I don't like this process from the Raiders. Now, I want to take a look at the Raiders' picks. So the Texans are in, or the Texans pick is in. I just wanted to look at the Raiders' just process here, right? So they had 37 and they turned 37 into 58, 98, and 99. I think context is key because, oh man, there was a lot of players that I liked on the board at the time. Luther Burden being one of them, of course. Donovan Zaraku being another one. Will Johnson being another one. Those players are not going to be there at 58, 98, 99. We'll see how it turns out for the Raiders, I guess. But I'm not a fan of this process right this particular second. I'll say that. I'll say that right now. I'm not a fan of this process for the Raiders of trading out of this. I hope it works out. But we'll see. Danny, appreciate the details. But we had the Raiders and they also got 135. They got 135. Good call on that as well, by the way. Good call on that as well. I did forget the 135 part. But I'm not a fan of the Raiders process here. Maybe I'm wrong. Chat, let me know where you guys stand on this. But if I am the Texans here, I feel like this has to be for Ariante Ursary. I feel like this has to be for Ursary. Appreciate your work. Appreciate it, Danny. Because the Raiders are allergic to drafting good, they had to trade back. Look, I am not a fan of usually not a fan of stereotypical oh man, the Raiders are going to draft a bust but there's times where the shoe fits with the Raiders or with the Falcons are going to do something. And it's just something like that, man. I got to blow my nose. So I'm just going to pull the mic away. I'm sorry, guys, but we're on, we've been on camera for an hour and 36 minutes. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But anyway, my prediction here is Ariante Ursary. It makes too much sense for them. And I think that would be the ideal selection for the Texans. All right, can I show my best left? Yes. All right, the thing is I tweeted this a couple days ago. So right now, Trey Amos at 30 would be my best player. That would be my best player still available. And we have, I'm going to have to go through this manually. Benjamin Morrison is still available. Caleb Johnson is still available. Elikai Manor is still available. So we have several players within the top 40. Savone Ravel, Braden Swinson, Shadur, Azarie Thomas, Ursary, Jack Besh. These are all my guys in the top 50. Darius Alexander, Amon Yellen, Landon Jackson, Dylan Sampson. All of these guys are still available. So this is where we are in the big board, by the way. Logo on the wall looks great. Appreciate that, Michael. I appreciate it. I had the frames are no longer here. Otherwise, I would have showed them. But this is. I know there were a lot of people that were commenting regularly about, hey, the photos are crooked, and I knew that, but it was a matter of getting this bad boy up on the wall. So I'm glad that this bad boy is now up on the wall, and I think it looks good, and I'm appreciative that people noticed that. So somebody asked, how do you pronounce Revel's name? It is Savone Ravel. Savone Ravel. That is the pronunciation of the East Carolina corner. Savone Ravel. It is Savone is the first name. All right. Here we go. Texans are making the selection. Please help out CJ. Please give me Ariante Ursary.
Those boys in Houston are making moves right now. The Las Vegas Raiders have traded the 40th pick to the Houston Texans. And with the 40th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Ariante.
Yes, baby. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, there we go. We're good. We're back. We're back for the Texans. We're good. Whew, all right, we're good. Like that. There we go. That was the big one. We got Jaden Higgins and we have Ariante Ursary. That's a start. The Texans. I like the Texans drafting Jaden Higgins and Ariante Ursary to help out CJ Stroud is phenomenal. It's great from where they started. I like that. I like that process for them. All right, we have a super chat here. We have a super chat from my ex-wife. Appreciate it, Nolan and Johnson. I love Monty. He is the anti-Steve Keim. No, Steve Keim was brutal, man. He was brutal, so I get it. I'm glad to see that they are going. They're building. The Cardinals, to me, are doing everything the right way. And spoiler, there may be a video within the next week or so about the Arizona Cardinals are doing everything right. They are building the team the right way. So I'm really happy with the Cardinals in terms of where they are. Shout out Ariante Ursary. Somebody said Minnesota boy. He is a Golden Gopher. He's actually from the Kansas City area. But I'm glad that that the Texans they drafted Jaden Higgins and Ursary. Like I said, I would have preferred Burden and Ursary, but the thing is they're helping CJ Stroud. They knew that, and the Bengals are on the clock. They're actually about to make their selection. They selected Shamar Stewart in the first round. This is where Trey Amos goes. I'm saying that with a decently high confidence. I feel like I like Trey Amos here, or Scorton. No, sorry, not Scorton, but Trey Amos is.
With the 49th pick in the draft of the 2025 NFL Draft,
Trey Amos.
Bengals select Demetrius Knight Jr.
Okay, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Okay, so I don't dislike the pick. Demetrius Knight is. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, I'm not the biggest fan of the pick. Demetrius Knight he's an older player. First off, where did I have him on the board? I was a little lower. I had him at 74. He is not a bad player. I just don't think he is particularly great. Now, I honestly don't think a bad comparison for him just because of how he is. Now there's going to be one part that I distinctively want to separate here. But he's not the best in coverage at times. And he is a pretty fundamentally sound he's a solid tackler. And he's not a bad player. I just don't think the ceiling is that high. So having said all of this, I really don't think his pro comparison to Vontaze Burfict would be all that unfair, because there was a lot of things that Vontaze struggled with. Now we are clearly separating one part of that, obviously, and we all know what part that is. But Vontaze was not the best in coverage. He was a really good tackler, and he was, that big, kind of linebacker, if you will. And again, we're separating one part very clearly. But Demetrius Knight is not a bad player. He's just not the guy that I wanted them to take. I'll just say that. And right here, you started off with he's one of the oldest prospects in the 2025 draft. He's a mature player with good processing, fundamentally sound tackling. So that's the best way to describe him, man. I'm not the biggest Knight fan, especially when Trey Amos was available. But I think he'll be a high floor player. I'll leave it at that. I think he'll be a high floor player. National War says I hate this pick. I can understand that. And my biggest thing is I don't like the passing on Trey Amos at 49 when he's there. I would say that. That would be my biggest gripe with the selection. All right, the Seahawks pick is in. They, of course, traded up for Eamon Wari. They already have Gray Zabel. And the Seahawks, they have one more pick in the top 100 tonight, which is at pick 92 with the Lions. So we'll see where they go. And let's see here. He passes the name test. Look, that is actually a discussion that we've not had tonight. Is the name test. There's a lot of guys that pass the name test. Demetrius Knight Jr. That's a nice name, man. That is a nice name. Now, out of respect to players, I'm not going to say that, hey, that's a bad name. I'm only going to say guys that I think that have the kick rear ends names, like the tough names, like a Quinshawn Judkins. That's a tough name. That is a very good name. There's a lot of players in this class that have a lot of good names, and I'll even say it again. I like to think whenever you have the name game, if you will, of players, I like to think of them in John Gruden's room where he pronounces the guys and he's doing the head nod and he goes, "How about this kid from South Carolina, this Nick Eamon Wari?" You got it. That's a good name right there. So Demetrius Knight definitely does pass the name test. But all right, Jackson Dart is a really good name too. All right, Knight is months younger than Tyler Shuck. I don't even know who Shuck is. He actually went to school with. He actually was in the same high school class as Tom Brady. That's Tyler Shuck, if you were wondering. I'm kidding, by the way. All right, Cam Chancellor is my favorite name as a Bucs fan. Dude, Cam Chancellor was a legend. He was a legend. Let me get back on track here, though. Seahawks are on the clock. This is one selection I really don't know where they go. I think I've said this for several teams, but Io Manor makes a lot of sense because McDonald wants to play that physical brand of football. And Io Manor certainly provides that. And he is, I will pull up a clip in a minute. I hope it doesn't get flagged, but I will pull up a clip where he is just a bully in the run game. And that's what Seattle wants to do. So my official prediction would be Alec Io Manor. They also have to replace DK. So that would be my prediction. They have Gray Zabel, they have Imanwari. My official prediction is Alec Io Manor. All right. I'll be honest, didn't love the effort on the John Gruden impression. Good bones there, but you need to go for it. All right, Jonathan, I'll give you more of an impression in a second, but the pick is in. The pick is in. They're about to make the selection. My prediction is Alec Io Manor. Chad, I'd be eager to hear, or I'd be eager to hear where you guys think they're going. There's a couple of things, and there's a trade apparently. There's a trade somewhere. Somebody said 51. All right, somebody else is talking about the great state of Maryland. We'll get on that in a minute. Here we go. The selection is in, and who is that making the selection? It's Sean Alexander, former league MVP. For anybody who did not watch him play in his prime, he was an animal. He was him, man. All right. Io Manor is my guess here.
What up, 12s? Before we start, I gotta say happy birthday to my son, Jedediah. Everyone say happy birthday.
Okay. Happy birthday.
With the 50th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Elijah Arroyo, tight end.
Okay. All right. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a fan of this one. I'm not a fan. I am at 68 on the board. I don't think he's a bad player. I'm just not the biggest fan of this pick for a couple of reasons. I mean, the thing is the numbers are going to be there. So I don't hate this pick. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. We're at the point where I would prefer, for Seattle specifically, I would have preferred a much bigger physical receiver, not DK Metcalf, obviously, who's kind of a rarity in himself, right? Because he's, 6'4", 230 and the 40 and everything. But I would have preferred a guy that run blocks his tail off, that takes corners out of plays entirely, and a guy that, hey, we can run to his side, and he is going to be a good, he's going to be a big positive in the run game. Elijah Arroyo he's not a bad run blocker, obviously, but there's a difference in who he's run blocking versus who Alec Io Manor would be. And I'm not the biggest fan of this pick. If you're going after a pass catcher, I would prefer a guy that is going to significantly fill up the stat sheet the way Io Manor would, especially when that's also a need. So this is one. I'm just not the biggest fan of this pick. I'd be eager. Chat, let me know where you guys stand on this. Adam, already on the details. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this. This is 57.74. This is a big trade here. 230 for 51.80. So you said 84. Is it 85? Hold on here. We got to look at the trade. I'll wait for the trade details. Could somebody confirm the details here? Because that's a big trade from Adam. I would like to. I mean, I'm not disputing. That's just a ginormous trade. We have the pick is being announced, by the way.
With the 51st pick to the Carolina Panthers. With the 51st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Nick Scorton.
Yes, baby, let's go. That's a pick. Tetero McMill. That. I'm happy for the Panthers, man. That is a pick. Let me look up this detail specifically. That is. Absolutely love this class. The Carolina Panthers are absolutely. I mean, this is awesome. I just want to confirm these details. Let me take a look here at Panthers, Broncos, and just confirm, because the details that were being sent in was a lot. But I absolutely love this. It is 51.85, 122, and 208 for 57.74. Okay, so you had it exactly. Again, credits. Who was it? It was... Hold on, I'm going to credit them. Adam, credit. It was just a big trade was all. The 4 picks for 4 picks was why I was a little... like, is that really the trade? So look, I love this Nick Scorton, man. He's one of my guys. thought he was a tremendously overthought player. I had him at 22 on my board, and I had Tetairoa McMillan at 8, which is where they drafted Tetairoa McMillan. So you have 8 and 51 are your selections, and you have 30 combined is the value here. So when you add 8 and 51, which is 60, 8 and 51 is 59 rather, they have 30, which is a net value of 29. Plus 29 is where they are in terms of I hope you guys are understanding where I'm going with the math there. But it just great. Just absolutely great by the Carolina Panthers. They're killing it, man. They are doing a phenomenal job. Shout out Dan Morgan. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Titan selection is in. I want another happy pick here. So I'm hoping this is Alec Manor. Give Cam Ward a legit weapon.
And with the 52nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Olufemi Oladipo.
Oh, man. I don't dislike it. Okay, Femi Oladejo. I'm Femi Oladejo. I'm not with Landon Jackson, not Braden Swinson, Uman Mielen. I don't dislike the pick. It's just a developmental selection at 52 when there's better edge rushers available. I don't like that. I'm going to be honest. I do not like that pick for the Titans. That was a letdown for me. I was not the biggest fan of that. Let me go to where I had him on my board. I had Oladejo at 97. And for reference, I have Braden Swinson at 43. I have Landon Jackson at 54. I have Alec Manor at 40. I'm not going to... I mean, look, I'm just not the biggest fan of the selection. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I'm just not the biggest fan of the pick. I think there were several, not just one or two, but several better players on the board. And the thing is a lot of people like Oladejo, so maybe people feel differently than me because I know Oladejo has a lot of supporters in the draft community. I mean, a lot of supporters. But it's just not a pick that I'm gonna write home about and think that they nailed it, man. I'm not a fan of this pick, to be completely honest. That's just that, man. I'm sorry, Titans fans. Like I know I want to be positive. I don't want to, kill a guy's game entirely. I'm just not the biggest fan. And then let's actually go back here. Can I go to my picks? Okay, I can for the Titans. It's Cam Ward and Femi Oladejo when several better players were available. I just don't like it. I just don't. That's all that. That's just my biggest thing. So I'll just leave it at that. Surely Bucks go defense. They should. And there's several players here that they could go. Several. The thing is who would be a Todd Bowles edge rusher? They just signed Reddick this offseason. Braden Swinson would make a lot of sense. I mean, Mike Green, of course, is... I'm not... Like I said, I'm not discussing that other than what we've already said. But Landon Jackson, Braden Swinson... Who else would be? Josiah Stewart would be really fun. These are day 3 guys. David Walker is good. I do like David Walker. I like Kamen Rucker a lot as well, but not at 53. But this linebacking class, not great. Outside, I mean, I do like Chris Paul and I do like Danny Stutzman, but it falls off pretty quick. But Trey Amos to me is the best prospect available aside from Mike Green, and I'm not going to get into that discussion. So, all right, teams are going to regret not taking Mike Green. I mean, that implies that he overcomes everything, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to discuss too much other than what has already been said. So, let's take a look at the chat. If Bucks don't go defense, I'm going to lose my mind. Understandably so. Poles finishes his master class with Caleb Johnson and Kevin Winston. I might actually not crash out, but I would just be just to give you one of those. I mean, it would be not ideal to play against that draft class. It would be not exact, but it wouldn't be too far off from the 2023 Lions class if they drafted all of those guys. If they had, let's go back. If they had Colston Loveland, and here was it? Colston Loveland at 11, and I had Luther Burden at 16, and Kevin Winston at 28, and Caleb Johnson at 39. And if the Bears had all of those guys, it would not be great. All right, let's see here. Crash Out, it would be good content. You got it. Yeah, right. Man, if there's Vikings games where I'm like, I'm screaming and everything, and it's I think I might go live for a Vikings primetime game this year on a different note. But look, the Bucs are up. I think Trey Amos is the pick. Jason Light, the Bucs general manager, generally does really good things, and he is an underrated general manager. I think him and Les Snead are two of the best in the business, and I honestly don't think you hear a lot about them. So I do think Trey Amos is a fine, or not a fine, I think he's a really good player. So Trey Amos to me should be the selection. And it's also kind of like, okay, if they don't take Trey Amos, then the Packers are probably going to take Trey Amos. I would be shocked if Trey Amos is not off the board in the next 2 picks, personally. I would be very surprised. Who is selecting here for the Bucs? Who is this fine gentleman? He's pumping the crowd up. Really pumping the crowd up. No spoilers, but please drop your prediction for the Bucs pick. I'm going Trey Amos.
The 53rd pick in the NFL 2025 draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Benjamin Morrison, DB, Notre Dame.
Okay, that's look, Benjamin Morrison is the biggest thing was injury, and I'll say this: if they're taking him at 53, then they feel confident that he is going to be fine. But he's a player that has had multiple surgeries, and Benjamin Morrison he's going to be a player that Todd Bowles loves. He is a really good player. He has really good eyes as a DB, and I mean, there's not a lot more to say other than he is a high floor player. He is a guy that Todd Bowles is going to like. He's a plug and play starter. The only thing that they had to clear was the medicals. Now, if you want to get into the business of, hey, I would have taken, I would have taken Trey Amos above Benjamin Morrison because of the medicals, or because of the uncertainty maybe surrounding around Benjamin Morrison, I could get behind that. But look, Benjamin Morrison, Trey Amos, both good football players. And like we said, the reality is the Bucs, a lot of the time, do things the right way. And I know people want to say that they're the king of, they call it, quote, language, they call it the king of shit mountain is what they call it in the NFC South. But the Bucs do things the right way a lot of the time. So, like the pick, and with Tampa, they now have Emeka Egbuka, and they now have Benjamin Morrison. So, good all-around process, man. Good all-around process for him so far. And there's a super chat. If Green keeps falling from Ryan, do the Birds pick him up? I don't know. I don't know, because it's the off the field that we don't know. That's the reality, is we don't know. It would make sense. I'll just say that. Jalen Carter was different. It was different. It was a different situation than what Mike Green is, than what this situation is entirely. So the Birds took Jalen Carter and obviously reaped the benefits of that, and they won a Super Bowl. I don't know how serious the NFL teams view the Mike Green situation. So, all right. Let's see here. My prediction for the Packers, like I said, Trey Amos. If Trey Amos isn't the pick here, then I think he could fall a little bit more.
Here to help make the Green Bay Packers choice, so give it up for Packers legend Jordy Nelson.
Dude, Jordy was a problem in his day.
Thanks, Commissioner. I also want to introduce Kenya and Marcellus from the Boys and Girls Club in Green Bay. We're recognizing incredible youth like them as part of our Inspire Change initiative.
Chat, please drop the predictions for this selection.
Club nationwide to help young people find their voices, advocate for
Also, if you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream. We are approaching 300. We're approaching 300. Let's to the moon, baby. Here we go. Packers selection, pick 54.
with the
No, I like Anthony Belton. No. Oh, man. Oh, man. That's a good pick, man. Like, I like Anthony Belton so much. And I'm actually live. Like, Marcus Whitman is a Packers fan. And he's live right now on his channel. So I'm actually going to text him and just say, like, you got my guy. Congrats on getting my guy. Congrats on getting my guy. I'm actually just texting him now. I'm also, and I wonder, I'd like to call him, but I'm not going to interrupt his stream. But look, Anthony Belton's a good player. He is, if you just want to describe Anthony Belton's game, I had him a little lower on my board, but I really liked him. I had him at 78. Now, the reason that I had him at 78 was because I fear that teams are going to play him at offensive tackle when I think he is a guard. And my thing with Anthony Belton is he is too slow to play at offensive tackle, but he's not that far off, in my opinion, from Tyler Booker along the interior, where he is, if you get him in a phone booth, you are not getting around him. He is a massive human being. So I love Anthony Belton as a guard. I like the idea of him kicking inside, but he is, somebody just said he's a big boy. He is a big boy. AK is upset. He's a Packers fan, and look, I like Anthony Belton a lot, man. I like it. I like Anthony Belton a lot. The pick is in for the Chargers. Let's see. We have Emma Henry Soprano. I don't know if that's a like Sopranos reference on YouTube, but Sopranos, incredible TV show. My personal GOAT TV show. But look, I like Anthony Belton a lot, and if you want to be upset as a Packers fan that they took Belton over Trey Amos or any other player, I could understand that. Omar Norman Lott, I could understand that, but the Chargers are making their selection now.
With the 55th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Trey Harris, wide receiver, Mississippi. They got a receiver who can win in man coverage.
All right, so Trey Harris is a bigger receiver. He's from Ole Miss, and Trey Harris is he's a good football player. Now I had mocked Emeka Ibuka to the Chargers quite a bit in the first round. Obviously, they needed a receiver, and it made a lot of sense. He simply upgrades the receiving unit because the receiving unit outside, of course, Ladd McConkey, who's a very good receiver, was not good. So I like this selection, and it's also a different body in the receiving room. And Quentin Johnston, to me, is a player that I hope works out, but you can't really count on Quentin Johnston the way that you would like at this point. But Trey Harris is, look, he's a second-round pick. He's going to enter a favorable situation, and I like to pick for the Chargers. Now, for reference, for anybody wondering, I know people like when I go right to the big board. I was a little lower on Trey Harris. I had him at 64. So right above the Jalen Royals, Jalen Knoll tier of receivers, and even Savion Williams for that matter. But like I said, good pick for the Chargers. I think it's solid value, and that's kind of where I stand on that. All right, super chat. What is an ideal selection for the Commanders? Now I appreciate that. I like the super chat. Like, hey, look, we're almost on the clock. Give me your ideal scenario here for the Commanders. So. The Commanders, of course, selected Josh Connerly in the first round. For reference, I had Connerly, I think it was around 29 last night, and that's actually exactly where he went. So right now, the Commanders need help at running back. They need help at corner, and I would also be fine if they took another receiver. Dan Quinn, to me, I've said this a couple of times tonight, and I will continue to say this, but the Dan Quinns of the world, the Mike Vrabels of the world, the Dan Campbells of the world, not every coach is like this, but Jim Harbaugh especially is another one. And I actually would have preferred Alec Iomanner to Trey Harris for the Chargers, but these are guys that want to, play bully ball, flex their bicep, and let you know that they're the more physical team, right? So Alec Iomanner to the Commanders would make a lot of sense. Jack Besh to the Commanders would make a lot of sense. If they want a speed guy, because Terry McLaurin's good, but he's not a true, I know he ran a pretty fast 40 from what I remember, but I don't think his game speed is all that fast, at least not, you're not going to confuse Terry McLaurin with Tyreek Hill, right? Kyle Williams would be a good selection for the Commanders. I've said Trey Amos for everybody because Trey Amos, I wonder if this is actually in PFF's scouting report, but my point is he is such a good player. He's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, where he is a good player and you know what you're getting with Trey Amos. And to me, that was a top 30 player in this class. So I'm not going to continue to say Trey Amos, even though he would be good for the Commanders. Let's see what other corners. Savone Ravel is... he's coming off a torn ACL, but when healthy, he's a really good player. Jacob Parrish, I think, is a player the Commanders would like. I also think they'd really like Noah Williams and even Justin Wally, although that's a bit early for them. But for Washington, there's several edge rushers that make a lot of sense. I think Braden Swinson would really make a lot of sense for Washington. And Princely Amon Allen as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Hello, Mr. Analysis. What's up? What's up? How we doing? Andrew, appreciate you being a member. Appreciate everyone. I appreciate all the members that are in here, by the way. I've seen a lot of member chats. AK's been in here all night. Daniel and AK, they're loyal members. They're always in here. They're always having a good time. So appreciate you guys. And everyone else for that matter as well. Like I said, it means a lot. And we have a trade. The Lions, good call. Good call, by the way, Daniel, on that. But so Andrew asks, what do you think the Ravens do? Look, the Ravens last night, they take Malachi Starks, who, I want to go back to my board here. I had Malachi Starks at 19. They take him at 27. The Ravens are licking their chops because they have a lot of great players available. I'm not going to say all reliable because I've talked about him a lot already. But the Ravens could use another receiver, and there's plenty of them available. They could use another edge. If I had to guess, I would say that the Ravens would go edge at this point. Not as well. What's up, man? My ex-wife also as well. Let's see here. Is Shadur going to drop to the 3rd? Yeah, I could see it, man. I mean, who's going to take him? Somebody would have to trade up in front of the Giants, but I don't think they would trade up in front of the Giants because, so hold on, let me write this down. 57, I need to write this down here. 57, 230. I'm actually just going to comment this so I can just scroll up. 57 and 230 for 60 and 130. That way, when I do this, I can just have the trade right there. Anyway, so I just wanted to comment that. By the way, appreciate everyone who dropped all the likes a couple minutes ago. I know we were at 280 and we well past the 300 mark. But appreciate that. Hear me out. Ravens get Cam Scatabo and become a nightmare. Yeah, that would be awful. Good luck defending that. I think Shadur may go to round 6. Actually, he's going to be a priority UDFA. All right, Bears are on the clock. The pick is in. Oh, this is a suit here. Who is wearing this suit? Who is that? Who actually is that? That's got to be a current player, right? They have a championship belt on. It's Seth Rollins. It's a WWE superstar. Sorry for the confusion to any World Wrestling Entertainment fans out there. And I love that they're playing up the Bears Packers rivalry. And I'll shut up and let them talk. JTWK, I gotcha. This could actually go on a while because wrestlers talk. So this could go on a minute. It's JJ McCarthy. That's awesome. That's awesome. Whoa. Is this? Whoa. Hold on here. This might go on like the one... Oh, never mind. Here we go. Picks being announced. Trapillo. Woo. Okay, good. Good. I'm good with that. All right. That was the Vikings fan of me reacting. So, first off, look, Ozzy Trapillo I had him a little, I know I was a little lower on Ozzy. Let me see where I had him on my board. He is a skyscraper of a tackle. And he is, where did I have Ozzy? I knew I was a little lower. I had him at 108. I was a little lower than consensus. But he's a skyscraper. Whenever you are 6'8", 315, let's see what actually, is the first thing that noted is he is a skyscraper. Whenever you are that tall, you obviously lose the leverage advantage. So there's times where he does lose the leverage advantage naturally because, you have 6'2" guys that are going to just go right up into your chest. You are going to be at a disadvantage. But I like Ozzy for who he is. I think it's, a little rich at pick 56, especially when there's better players at more positions on the board that the Bears need. I don't hate the pick entirely, and I kind of want that to be clear. Like, I'm not, hey, this pick absolutely stinks. But I thought they reached a little bit, and the Bears generally do a good job of not reaching. And if that is one thing that I can absolutely praise Ryan Poles for, I generally think they do a good job. I thought that was a bit of a reach. But for the Bears, when you already have Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, I would honestly argue that as long as they're not taking absolutely awful players, they're already in a really good position. But I'll get to the super chats here in a second, which I do appreciate from JT and from Kenshu, and I promise I will get you guys in a second. But the Lions there's actually a whole host of people here. So JT says, take my money, my team is cooking. I'm happy for you. And the Seahawks, I mean, I didn't like the Elijah Arroyo selection, but I love the Eamon selection, and I loved the Gray Zabel. And this, I'm not sure what currency this is, ARS, but I greatly appreciate the super chat. He says, opinion on Landon Jackson. You think he will get drafted today? I'll answer this in a second.
As a proud soldier, Christopher deployed to Iraq, where he was tragically killed in an IED explosion in July 2007 at age 18. Special Scooby service was marked by numerous awards and decorations, including the Bronze Star Medal and the Purple Heart. Christopher grew up in Michigan and was a lifelong fan of the Lions, passionately cheering his home team whenever he could. We honor him and thank his family and TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, which offers care to those grieving the loss of a military loved one. And now, I'm going to turn it over to John and David, who will announce in honor of their brother and son.
My guess here, and rest in peace to this gentleman who gave his service to the country. My guess here is that the Lions take Alec Manor, but again, rest in peace to this gentleman who sacrificed his life for the country. Guess is Alec Manor. USA chance erupting at Lambeau. That's actually pretty electric. That's pretty cool.
And here we go. The Denver Broncos have traded the 57th pick to the Detroit Lions. With the 57th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Tate Ratledge, guard from Georgia.
Okay, so Tate Ratledge, he is 6'6", 310 pounds, and Tate Ratledge, to me, there's not a lot of guys that you can comp along the interior as a guard from Georgia. There's not a lot of guys that you can really compare along the interior at that height. So he reminds me a little bit, not exact, but a little bit of Joe Tippmann, who's played well for the Jets over the first couple of years of his career. And I do like this pick for the Lions, all things considered. Now, is it a little rich for him? Probably yes, but we're getting to a point in the draft where the offensive line play, or the offensive lineman available, is not great, and Graham Glasgow is, I mean, he's getting up there in age. He's 32, will be 33 in August. So all around, for the Lions to come out of this class with Tyleik Williams and Tate Ratledge, I would say is kind of what this class has been described as, and it is a meat and potatoes class all around. I think the Detroit Lions kind of perfectly represent that. Now, Kenshu, opinion on Landon Jackson. I like Landon Jackson a lot for what he is as a player. I think he is a good power rusher. He, to me, was a mid to late... Hold on here, I'll show you, actually. I had him around, where was it? I thought it was like the 40 couple area. I had him at, hold on, 54. So I had him at like mid to late two rather grade, and we're in the selection where he should go, and the Raiders are actually selecting now. The Raiders are on the clock. We do have a super chat from JTWK, which I do appreciate. I'll get to this in a minute. I'm curious where you guys think this selection is. Who do you think this player is? Here we go. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. Okay, Jack Besh. Jack Besh is a really solid football player. Now, Jack Besh is 6'1", 215. I don't think his pro comparison is unfair to a young Juju Smith-Schuster, where he's physical. He is. I know Juju got a lot of bad publicity in the 2020 season for the TikToks and all that. But a young Juju was fun, and he was a good player. He was physical. He was a good route runner, and he won his routes. In that 10 to 15 yard range down the field by creating separation through the subtle physicality throughout his reps. And he did a good job of creating separation and like I said, winning routes in different ways. And I think Jack Besh is a good representation of that. Now, Jack Besh, if you want to get into the Jordy Nelson, Adam Thielen comparison and that, everything else, and, talk about a guy who is, really a good lunch pail, a guy that works hard, a Senior Bowl MVP, a coach's son, and type of guy that should let date your daughter type thing. I get it. But look, I think he compares to a young Juju, and I like Jack Besh a lot. And also RIP to his brother, who was unfortunately killed in the New Orleans the New Orleans incident that happened around New Year's. But Jack Besh, good football player, like him a lot. And now you have Ashton Genty and Jack Besh. And I had Jack Besh around, I think it was player 50 on the dot. And it was Jack Besh 50. They get him at 58. So the Raiders right now have had picks 6, and they've had pick 58. And they selected my number 3rd player, and they selected my number 50 player for a combined value of 53. And they've had pick 58 and pick 56, which together is 64. So they're doing good on the value chart. So good for them. All right. Lunch pail, sneaky athletic, by the books kind of guy. You guys know it. You guys know what's up. All right. First stream, bro. Appreciate you being in here. All right. This has to be Amos to the Ravens. I mean, this is what I mean when I say the Ravens and the Eagles are like the same team. They really are. They really are the same team. They sit back, let the board come to them. They take good football players. They don't overthink anything, and that's that. They had my 19th player at pick 27, and chances are they'll have my 30th player at pick 59. And it's just a Baltimore Ravens just draft. They just draft better than other teams. And I think that's why I have such a respect for Eric DeCosta and the way that they run their organization. So, all right. Who do you think the Vikings take? We are a long way from the Vikings being on the board. We're still like 40 plus picks away. We'll see though, but we are a long ways away. The Ravens are rear end chokers. Anyway. So there was a super chat earlier. It was from JTWK. He said, and look, I'm just reading the super chat. He said, quote, I pooped, end quote. Glad that you're, everything's smooth and that your fiber intake seems to be at a decent level. And look, I will say I'm not a nutritionist, but I do think that a high fiber intake is, it's good for the diet. I'll just leave it at that. I'm you get some black beans in the diet, a little chicken and corn, and Little rice, little pico de gallo, and a little cilantro lime sauce. You have yourself a good meal there. So, yeah, good. I'm happy for you, and I'll just leave it at that. All right. Where do you think Jalen Milroe will go? Good question, guys. Shadur Sanders is still available. The problem is you know what? I'm actually going to say this. I think Jalen Milroe goes to Cleveland at pick 67. That makes a lot of sense for Cleveland because they can still trade a late round pick for Shadur Sanders, or not for Shadur Sanders, for Kirk Cousins, and they still have everybody that they selected. So they would still have Mason Graham, they would still have Quinshawn Judkins, they still have Carson Schlesinger, and they would still be able to trade that late pick for Kirk and have a guy in front of, a legit guy in front of Jalen Milroe. Although we run into a problem where you'd have Kenny and Joe Flacco and then all that. So my point is I think Jalen Milroe is a good landing spot for the Browns. The Ravens also do acquire comp picks like crazy. You're right. You are right with that. I just ate a double cheeseburger and onion rings. You can, look, throw some fiber in there. Get a little Greek yogurt. Look, I'm a big advocate for fiber in the diet. If people don't talk about it, I will talk about it. Fiber in the diet is just, look, you need to run the ball sometimes. Keep things smooth, if you will. If you know what I'm saying. Just anyway, I'm gonna cut that conversation off there. In Livia Soprano's words, I don't like that kind of talk. We're just gonna go somewhere else. Keep doing your thing. Appreciate it. Run the ball is crazy. You just gotta. Anyway, Shadur to Steelers late. Their next selection is 83. It'd be wild if he was available at 83. But the problem is you get into a point where like nobody is who is going to legitimately take him? The Eagles obviously are. Look who's available, right? Or look who's up. The Broncos just drafted Bo. They're not going to take a second-round quarterback who had a 30-touchdown rookie season. Jaden Daniels, obviously they're not going to take him. Caleb, obviously. Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. Jackson Dart. Again, Mahomes. Maybe in the third round for Cleveland. Maybe. I would say probably not, but maybe with the Raiders. The Patriots, no. The Jags, no. The Saints just took Tyler Shuck, so no. The Bills, no. The Jets, again, maybe. There's not a lot of landing spots for him. I'll just leave it at that. Your utter sincerity to Trump the Trolls deserves money. It's magnificent every time. I appreciate that, Sunsary. I do appreciate that. It's more of I just address it head on type thing. It's just more of just lay your cards on the table and let's just go for it. Let's just, go right to it. You're better off than beating around the bush. Just dive head first, if you will. Mike Green, please, says rye. My favorite meal. I'll get into that in a second. I have a couple favorite meals. Anyway, anybody jot down your favorite meals because I'm a big foodie. I don't really from a personal standpoint. I don't spend a lot of money on like stupid things, if you will, or just unnecessary, not stupid, but unnecessary things. So I do spend more money on food than probably like the average amount because this is going to sound more shallow than I mean for it to, but like I'm not like, oh, hey, let me go, spend, Saturday and Sunday at like an $80 golf course. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not something I do, right? Where it's like, hey, let's just go, blow all this money on golf and then go blow $40 on a meal after because I want to get 2 beers at the 19th hole or whatever, right? So I spend a lot of money on like, quality food. So I'm a big foodie and we'll just keep this conversation after the Ravens pick, although they are stalling on the NFL Network. So I just want to get to where they are selecting. All right. GAS is watching you with South Carolina. Love your content. All right, I have one thing to say for the Gamma Alpha Sigma, I guess the fraternity, and that thing is, are you guys ready for it? It is Cox by 90. I know the Columbia area, the Cola area. It is Cox by 90. All right. Let's see here. Jimmy Rustler. All right, I'll get to this. This will be somebody will laugh at this when I read Jimmy Rustler's comment in a second. But the Ravens are on the clock. Who is making this selection? I wish it was my guy Stavros. Stavros is funny, but it is somebody else making the selection.
And so our motto is to never stop giving, never stop loving, and never stop growing so that no child will go without food. My son JW and I, we have the honor and the privilege of presenting tonight's pick for the Baltimore Ravens. And with the 59th
Here we go. Troy Amos.
of the NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens have selected Mike Green.
Whoa! Okay. There is the end of the Mike Green run. Good for Mike Green, man. Look, I hope everything is behind him. Mike Green is a tremendous football player. Now we're going to. I'm going to discuss. I'll just get this again head on. We will discuss we'll discuss Mike Green and the off the field stuff. So Mike Green is here is the what was said about Mike Green. It was hold on. Let me find the exact wording because Marcus tweeted it earlier. Here it was. This is everything that Marcus, my guy Marcus, and I have discussed this at length. But he entered Virginia with a quote no nonsense policy quote after being accused of a situation with a girl. And I don't want YouTube to like demonetize this, so I'm going to kind of like paraphrase a lot of this. Another situation popped up with another girl, and Virginia kicked him out without any real due process. Haven't heard anything of since he got to Marshall. Obviously, he's a tremendous football player, but there was basically not one but multiple accusations of SA, if you will, with Mike Green. And Mike Green is, I'm sticking with on the field here. Mike Green, I had him at player 9. The Ravens get him at what was his pick? 58, 50, 59. If everything is behind him, this will be the steal of the draft for the Baltimore Ravens. And that's all there is to it. Mike Green has an absolute tool bag of pass rush moves. He can win with power. He can win with rip and dip. He can win with a swim move outside. He can win with an arm over inside. Mike Green, aside from Abdul Carter, to me is the best pass rusher in this class. So A+ selection for the Ravens if everything works out. All right. The Broncos are up on the clock. We will continue the food discussion very soon. There's a lot of things to discuss. Quickly before, there was a comment from Jimmy Rustler. He said, quote, "I like big sausage," end quote. Somebody said Shadur Sanders to Wendy's, but here we go. Broncos are back on the clock. Give my guy Alec Iomanner. Give my guy Bo Alec Iomanner. All right, I'm going to be honest. I love the selection. I love this pick for the Broncos. Now I had RJ Harvey a little lower. You'll see I had him a little lower on my board. Where was he? I think I had him in like the 85 range. I had him. Hold on, 85 exactly. 85 exactly. But I love RJ Harvey at pick 60 for the Broncos because this is a good situation for him. Now there are a couple of teams where I am willing to dismiss players being slightly overdrafted relative to the value, and Sean Payton's offense is absolutely one of them. I like this selection for the Broncos. Now, I would have preferred Caleb Johnson. I will acknowledge that. But RJ Harvey is a guy that is he's a touchdown machine, and during his final year at UCF, I mean, guys, he absolutely, I'm sorry for the hiccups, I apologize. RJ Harvey absolutely killed it during his final year at UCF. And he, to give you an idea from a stat sheet standpoint, he had 22 rushing touchdowns. He had 1,577 rushing yards. He is a unit, man. I love RJ Harvey. Broncos fans, you will soon love RJ Harvey. And look, he's a good player. Now, I know people are going to say over Caleb Johnson. I get it. And we'll talk about that more in a second. But the Commanders pick is being made right now. Please be Caleb Johnson. Or Trey Amos. Good pick for the Commanders, man. Let's go. Good pick. The Commanders, this is good process. Good process for the Commanders, man. Good process for the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders' first two picks are tremendous. They're absolutely tremendous. Absolutely love the process for Washington. All right, now let's keep it going here, rolling with the chat. And let's see what we have here. All right, Trey Amos, love it. By the way, apparently Mel Kiper is crashing out over Shadur. I'm not celebrating him falling, but the Kiper crash out is hysterical. So I'll be honest, guys. Somebody said this earlier, by the way. Somebody said earlier that day 2 is my favorite. Here it is. Nikhil said, something makes me love day 2 more than day 1. What about you, football analysis? Love from a Pats fan. And I agree. Like, day 2 is my day of the draft. I love day 2. I streamed last year for day 1 of the draft. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, it's not for me, where there's 10 to 12 minutes in between every pick. And I prefer this where it's more, there's more interactive. We can discuss everything. We can have a quick discussion in between picks. And this is my jam right here, right? I love this. Now, I'm going to be honest, don't know where I was going with that. But, the Mel Kiper part, sorry. No, Mel Kiper last night on ESPN. I'm watching as a fan. I'm also watching, fellow YouTubers. I was watching Marcus. I was watching Bengal, Brett, and EJ. I was watching a bunch of guys. Brandon Perna, Grassi. I was watching all of them at some point. I was going to show love at all point throughout all their streams, right? Cam Ward's about to get selected number 1 overall on ESPN. And Mel Kiper is sitting here talking about, man, Shadur Sanders is a really high IQ player. And Mel has the voice where he's just like, he's a high IQ guy, and he talks real, like matter of fact. He's a real high IQ guy. This is a really good football player. He helped raise the Colorado program from Jackson State, and he just keeps going. And I'm like, Mel, Cam Ward is about to get selected. What are we doing? And I understand it's just, there's times where fans get frustrated watching that when it's like, hey, Cam Ward is quite literally about to get selected and we're sitting here talking about Shadur Sanders. So that is one thing that I do like about YouTube is, and ultimately everybody in here is that I would, or at least I would imagine everybody in here feels the same way, as we can have discussions about Shadur when they apply. But also, it's not necessarily like, hey, let's just not talk about Shadur Sanders and LeBron and how everything compares to that, right? So anyway, that's kind of my rant, if you will. But that's just that. All right, let's keep going here. Oh, the food conversation, by the way. The pick is in for the Bears. We'll go back to the food conversation. Stark, I have not been watching Stavros' podcast with the name, but he's just a funny guy. And Stavros doing the impression of like the Baltimore. There's something about Flacco. It is just. I'm from Maryland, if you guys didn't know, and it is hysterical. All right, do the Steelers need a running back? I would say yes. I mean, I would personally say yes. I like Jalen Warren, but I would say I don't think he's like the definitive number 1 answer. Hey, we don't need another player, so I would say yes. Can you explain the Amos pick to Commies fans on what we are getting? Absolutely. So, look, Trey Amos to me is, if you ever heard the term, he's a good player. Trey Amos to me is a player that is, he's a good coverage corner. He at times is a little questionable tackling, a little bit. I don't think that should have made him fall from late first round all the way to the late second round. But he's pretty sticky in coverage. He is a pretty high IQ player, all things considered. And there's guys where I struggle to find genuine weaknesses in their game, and Trey Amos is one of them. I don't look at him and think, okay, he would run a 4.6 40. Let's knock him down a round and a half because he can't run with CeeDee Lamb on a crossing route, right? Or whatever the case may be. Or Malik Neighbors on a two-way go or whatever, right? Or not a two-way go, but a sluggo. He can't run with him. He doesn't have the speed to catch up is what I'm looking for. It's not like he doesn't have it. He's a good player. He's just not elite. I mean, he's not going to be like rookie Sauce Gardner. He's not going to be 2009 Darrelle Revis, but he's, to me, just a good football player. I like him a lot. And the catch-up speed is what I was looking for, by the way. Seeing Stav in May, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. That is what's up. All right. Comparing that NHL player to LeBron was peak ESPN. That's what I mean. Ovi. I mean, I'm not a big hockey guy, so I don't want to act like I'm just because the Caps are near where I live. I don't want to act like I'm a big Caps fan because I'm not. But yeah, I mean, oh man, Ovi breaks a record from the great Wayne Gretzky let's throw LeBron into this conversation. That's just, the Bears pick is in. I'm eager to see where they go with this. I really am eager to see where they go with this pick here. It could be Caleb Johnson. Ozzie Trapia was the first selection of theirs in this class that I really did not like, so I'll say that. The Sanders to DoorDash comments are amusing. I'll just leave it at that. But I'd be shocked if he's not in the top 70. Or I wouldn't be shocked at this point. Yes! And again, that's a yes as a Vikings fan. So look, Shamar Turner is not a bad player. He's not a bad player. I just don't think he's as good as guys that are on the board, like Omar Norman Lott, or like Savone Ravel, or like we mentioned 100 times already, Caleb Johnson. The thing is he's a solid player. There are some questions with Shamar. I had him at 102 on my board. Now I think I was a little lower than consensus on Shamar Turner, but the biggest thing with Shamar Turner and ultimately Shamar Stewart, the A&M guys, is if they are, really good at getting after the quarterback, and this is more of a Shamar Stewart than a Shamar Turner thing, why didn't they get after the quarterback at an elite level during their time in college? So for Shamar Turner at pick 62, I think it's definitely a bit of a reach. I do think there are better defensive linemen on the board, and I want to pull up. So I had Darius Alexander as my, I had him as my 51st best player. I had Norman Lott as my 57th best player. I think if you are going to try and push the pocket the way that I would imagine they're going to use Shamar Turner in a, in a 3-tech type role where they really want to get him after the quarterback, I don't like this pick because I think there's two better players specifically at that role at the same position in the class. So like I said, I wish them the best. I'm not out here wishing players to fail, even though I was, excited because they didn't take Caleb Johnson like I thought they would have. But we'll see how it goes. I thought they reached a bit though. But I think he's a solid player. Chiefs are on the clock.
2025 NFL Draft. The Kansas City Chiefs select Omar Norman Lott.
Oh, that's such a good pick for them. That is so. I mean, that is such a good pick. There's just not a lot to say other than that is such a good pick for Norman Lott, or for the Chiefs rather. He is really good. He has really good hands, and the fact that you're going to have Omar Norman Lott and Josh Simmons in your class, and they can both sit a little bit and actually learn and actually develop. The Chiefs are having themselves a draft class. I'll just say this: The Chiefs got their rear ends kicked in the Super Bowl, and they immediately addressed the trenches in the first 2 rounds of the 2025 draft and select good football players while they're at it. And there's a reason that they are serious contenders year in and year out. This is a great draft class for the Chiefs so far. Curious where you guys stand in the Omar Norman Lott. Please let me know. All right. By the way, we're at 393 likes, so if you guys are enjoying this, just bump it up to 400. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and bump it up to 400. And, yeah. Just, if you guys are enjoying. I can't. I mean, the Chiefs are just, like I said, man. It's just great. Now I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be hot if the Chiefs, or not if the Chiefs, if the Eagles draft my guy Kevin Winston here, and they walk out with Jahad Campbell and Kevin Winston. This is peak Jesse Pinkman. He can't keep getting away with this if that is the selection, because I'm gonna be a little upset if it is. Just because it's like come on, guys. Like the NFL, how do you guys let this happen? More than anything. All right. Omar, my dog, Volcano, shout out Chiefs fan, shout out Volcano, shout out a Tennessee Volunteers fan for having your guy selected. And by the way, you guys bumped that up to 445 quick. I appreciate you guys so much. And I'm gonna get kind of like not emotional, but I'm just gonna like talk for a second. Like I am like genuinely happy with like the community that is being built, with the subscribers and everything. And I finish every video with love you guys for a reason. I love that I can sit here on Friday night, day 2 of the draft, and just talk ball with you guys, and that people are actually interested in this, because it means a lot, man. So love you guys as always, and that's just that as we are approaching the end of the second round. But thoughts on Dylan Sampson? Look, he's another good football player. I love his game. Dylan Sampson, let me pull up my exact scouting report for Dylan Sampson. Dylan was, like I said, there's a skill that some players simply don't have, and it's just legitimately finding the end zone. But he has that ability. And Dylan Sampson, to me, is a player that should start for at least the next 3 or 4 years, and that's kind of that. I don't have much to say more than that. There's not, I mean, I think you guys know me by now, where I'm not going to say that, hey, I'm not a hot take where Dylan Sampson is the best Tennessee. He's a better running back. He's going to be a better running back than Arian Foster, who is another Tennessee player, right? He's going to be better than him, and he's going to make him look like he stunk compared to how good he is. I'm not that guy, as an analyst, if you will. But Dylan Sampson is a player to me that should reasonably start or not reasonably, but should start over the next 3-4 years and make a team happy, and could be very easily be a 1,000-yard back. So, all right, Shadur Sanders to replace Kenny Pickett on the Birds bench. That would be funny. Tuning in from Guam, dude. Comment back, because I'm like the Guams of the world. I'm very eager. Like, I wanted to learn more about like the remote islands of the world. So that is one thing. There's also there's these islands. There's I forget what it's called. There's one island that's like out near, it's out near China. Or like China and Japan. I forget what islands they're called, but they're like I'm interested in like not the Aaron Rodgers, that type of stuff. But I'm just eager to hear like how they live and everything. Here we go. Oh, there's a fellow with long hair making this selection. Don't know who this gentleman is, but the Birds are on the clock. Just don't be Kevin Winston. Just don't be Kevin Winston, and we're good. Oh, it's Bo Allen.
I'm honored to be here representing the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles tonight. Go Birds! With the 64th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles select Andrew Makuba, defensive.
Okay. To me, Makuba is, you talk about like a center field type safety, or a guy that is, he's going to be a zone coverage safety. I think he's kind of a free safety, by definition, if you will. Like that type of, like, whenever you think of a guy that is, a little, just not a great tackler, but like basically if you go back to like the early to mid 2010s, where you have, like the Ed Reeds of the world, and then like the Bernard Pollards, where you have Bernard Pollard, who is not a guy that you wanted to play single high and that you would have as your roamer, right? That is the complete opposite of Makuba. Makuba is that free safety where you can play single high, you can play cover 3, and you can have him play the middle of the field. He is, to me, a good football player, and I know I've said that actually a lot, and it's kind of like my go-to, if you will, but no, Makuba he's a really solid safety prospect. I thought Kevin Winston was a better safety prospect than Makuba, so I'm a little surprised that Howie didn't go for Kevin Winston there, but Makuba is going to be a good player on the Eagles' back end of the defense, and because he is a high IQ guy, and high IQ players generally find themselves in good situations, it wouldn't surprise me if he had 3 or 4 interceptions as a rookie, just because he's going to be at the right place, the right time, and that's just that. That's just what I would say is that. All right, let's see here. I'm going to be honest, the island that I'm thinking of, I forget what it exactly is called. I don't know what the island is. It's not anything, if I would know it if I hear it, so I don't know which island it is, but I've looked at it before, and I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it. But anyway, look, the Giants pick is in. Makuba reach, but a solid reach. Speaking of solid reaches, I have soft hands. Anyway, I trust Vic Fangio to make it right. That's the big thing here. And for Makuba, where did I have him on my board? I actually had him at 60. Now, it's a little different because I had Kevin Winston at pick 20 or at player 28. So we'll see here. I hate being a Packers fan. You have 4 Super Bowls. It could be worse. It could be worse. All right. Okay. If the 2024 Eagles could all of a sudden tackle because of Fangio, I think he'll be all right. Yeah, I mean, that's very fair. That's very fair. All right. Here we go. The Giants are on the clock. Eager to see where they go here. I should do a collab with Brandon Perna with BP. Love from North Sentinel Island. Gonna be honest, I don't know where that is, but I do greatly appreciate it. Take it away, crowd. Take it away, chat. Down that I love this land, the USA. That's going to be the last time that I ever break that out, by the way. Oh, wait, North Sentinel Island is actually... Is that the one with those people outside that one country? That's a good one, by the way. Whoever said the North Sentinel Island, that is a good one. I actually read about that. The Bay of Bengal. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one, by the way. You got me there. The uncontacted people. Yeah, there's legit like concern that like if they have like any modern like virus that the whole island could be wiped out. They are like protected by the government. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. If you've ever like wanted to go down that rabbit hole of the North Sentinel Island people, I recommend. Anyway, we're back to football. We're back to football. Giants are on the clock. Give us Alec Io Manor. There we go. Good pick. Good pick. Good pick. Let's go, baby. We love that. We love that. Look, that's a good selection there by the Giants, man. That is a great selection by the Giants. The reality is the Giants now, the Giants have a defensive line. I mean, this is just kick rear ends. The Giants defensive line of Darius Alexander, Abdul Carter, I'm trying to tweet this. Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence is downright insane. And by the way, they also have Kayvon Thibodeau. So good for the Giants, man. That is a great pick, great value. So this is a really good process so far for the Giants. Now, if you the Jackson Dart conversation, he's a developmental player. I don't think he's going to play a lot in year one. But look, I had Darius Alexander 51 on my board. They took him at 65. All right, what is the pros and cons about RJ Harvey's game? Appreciate the super chat, Brett. The pros are he is compact. He's both speed and power for his size. The cons are that he's a little light in the pants, but he is, and I mean that from a weight standpoint, by the way. Hold on, we have a Chiefs selection. But okay, so Ashton, I'll get back to that in a second. But the thing is RJ Harvey at times I think he has good speed and power, but there's times where he doesn't get to the hole as fast as you'd like. And I think that can definitely be taken as a con for his game. Now, Ashton Gelati, they took him at pick 66. I had Gelati at... Where did I have him? I had him at pick player 104. I wonder where Trevor had Gelati. I thought he was pretty high on Ashton Gelati. Maybe not. I'm on player 97. So for the Chiefs, as much as I loved Norman Lott and Josh Simmons, not the biggest Ashton Gelati guy, I'll be honest. All right. All right. Love the singing. Straight vibing. Yeah, dude, we are here having a good time. The Sentinel Island chat was hilarious, by the way. So, credit. They definitely got me. The pick is in for the Browns. This could be Shadur, by the way. This could definitely be Shadur. Somebody said Shiloh's getting drafted before Shadur. All right. Do you have any I do not have any scouting on Ross Bolger. I'm sorry. I do not. Oh, I love the Gelati Genti confusion. I do love that. I'm loving this Panthers draft. I don't want to get too excited, but this is looking good. I'm going to be honest, first off. Like, I don't want to get too excited. Get excited. Look, I said last year, which was last year was literally 4 months ago, right? The Vikings lose to the Lions in week 18. I'm speaking as a Vikings fan, by the way. I'll, like, speak objective about the league in a minute. But we go into week 18. All right, like, look, we're gonna beat the Lions. We're going to beat them. We're going to go 15-2. We're going to get the number 1 seed. Okay, that doesn't happen. Guess what? You know, we have a week to think about it. We're playing on Monday night. We're playing the Rams. We're going to beat the Rams. We're going to beat them. And, you know, we're going to stop their pass rush, but Darnold just had one bad game. He's going to rebound. I said after that game that I'm not getting excited again until, like, the playoffs next year. But I mean, what is the point of that? Like, what is the point? You know, I'm just going to sit here. Oh, yeah, great. We're 6-2. Great. Go team. No, I mean, get excited. We're all fans at the end of the day. Get into it. Get excited. Have fun. Enjoy it. It's the highs and lows of the season, man. And the Panthers, for Carolina to have Tet McMillan and for them to have Nick Scorton, that's phenomenal, dude. And like I said, they selected him at 8-51, and I had, for reference, I had Scorton at 22, and I had Tet at 8. Get excited. You drafted 2 first-round players. Go for it. Hot take, Milroe gets drafted before Shadur. I honestly believe that. I honestly do believe that. I'm with you there. I think it could actually be here. I think Shadur going to Cleveland makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense. So, we'll see. It is Scorton, by the way, not Scorton. It is Scorton. Just there is a difference there. Big difference there. Think of yeah, I'm just gonna, you like scorch, like, you know, like you scorch a defense like that, like it's Scorton. Big difference. All right, DJ Uiagalelei getting taken before Sanders. We'll see. I don't know about you guys, but like I said, I'm having a great time, and hopefully you guys are too. We're also at 497, so if you guys could just go ahead and drop that and make it to 500, I'd appreciate it. Over 1,000 people in here, and it's pretty humbling because last year I went live for the first time, and there was regularly, I would say it was like 350 to 400. So to have, you know, over 1,000 in here tonight is awesome, and it's pretty cool. I love that everybody's in here, and it's that. So there's a difference. I like how you keep it classy. Appreciate it. Let's see. Where do you think Isaiah Bond will land? No idea. No idea. That's another one where I don't know. Daniel, I'm not going to reply to that one. What do the Niners have to do? Where are they up again? They're not up for a little bit. We'll discuss the Niners more in a second. They have addressed the defensive line in a big way. Thought they kind of reached on both picks so far. But if they could draft, there's still a couple good corners out there. Darian Porter's a good corner. If they can still go corner, I'd be thrilled. This Browns selection is in. I think there's a decent chance this is Milroe. I'm being dead serious, by the way.
With the 67th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Harold Fanning,
Oh, that's cool.
tight end, Bowling Green.
Okay, so Fannin Jr. is 6'3", 240. He is a unique player because Harold Fannin is kind of slow, but he's also like really good. And I don't know how people are going to take this because I know they want like actual, you know, analysis to be had. And this is actual analysis to be had. But Harold Fannin kind of reminds me of like if you guys ever played like ball growing up, right? And you have that one player or that one guy out there on the field that is not very fast. He's not very like physically imposing, but he's just good and he just makes plays. That reminds me of Harold Fannin. He had over 100 yards against Penn State. I was actually at the game, and I went into that game, admittedly not knowing who Harold Fannin was because I was not exactly studying Bowling Green players to scout heading into that game. Immediately left Penn State that day, started looking into Harold Fannin, everything I could find, and the following week he had a big game against Texas A&M. Harold Fannin has a chance to be a draft steal, in my personal opinion. He is, again, not... This is going to easily be taken in a negative way, and I understand why. He's not really anything great like physically, but he is a good player. And the fact that he's going to be behind David Njoku and actually get to learn from him, terrific landing spot for the Browns, man. The Raiders are back on the clock.
There is no better team sport in the world than professional football. Do you agree? And there are no better fans in the world than NFL fans. Do you agree? I am thrilled to get the privilege to welcome another young man into the silver and black. I believe he has a commitment to excellence, and we are thrilled to get, with the 68th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Darian Porter, defensive.
We just talked about Darian Porter. Okay. Love the pick. Love the pick for the Raiders. And I'll get to, there's a super chat in a minute that I'll get to. He is a, look, I don't have a lot of, he's kind of in that Trey Amos bucket of corners. I don't think there is a lot wrong in his game. And we've said before that there's not that much of a difference between player 30 and player 60 in this class, and even player 50 and player 75. Darian Porter is a really solid player. He's a lot of traits. He's a good height, weight, speed player, and he is, to me, a guy that should immediately go in and start for the Raiders. And the Raiders had a lot of secondary concerns. And now you look at the Raiders class so far with Genty, with Jack Besh, and then now with Darian Porter. And I think they're doing a really good job. And for reference, the Raiders last year they were bad for a reason. It wasn't just one or two players. And I know they had several guys go down. But when you look at their corner room with Eric Stokes and after that, there's probably not a lot of guys that it's Darnay Holmes, Sam Webb, DeSamarian Richardson, and Jacorian Bennett, and now Darian Porter. So I like the pick a lot, and I think it's good. I think it's good. All right, let's see here. Where do you think Trevor? Appreciate the super chat, Mitch, and he asks, where do you think Trevor Etienne lands? So Trevor Etienne, the young Etienne. I think the best way to describe his game is just consistently inconsistent. But there are a lot of, the thing is take your guess on day 3. The thing is he is going to be a depth running back. So I don't think it is an exaggeration to say that he could quite literally go anywhere. He could quite literally go anywhere. And it wouldn't surprise me wherever he goes. I don't have an actual answer as to where I legitimately think that Trevor Etienne will get drafted. John Cena is on the screen, by the way. I don't know what he's on the screen for, but the Patriots pick is in, so I'm eager to see what this is about, or what. There's a couple guys on the screen, but no, Trevor Etienne to me is a player where he could go several different places. He could even go to Jacksonville. So, but we'll see. I don't have a legitimate answer for Trevor Etienne. I would say it would make more sense for an outside zone team, or for a team that basically just doesn't want to run the ball in man gap schemes and just pound the rock up the middle. That wouldn't benefit his playing style at all. But there's several teams where it makes sense for him to go. Patriots are selecting. Okay, we got Drake May some more help. Kyle Williams, he is a good. I love this pick for New England. You have Stephon Diggs, have Kyle Williams, and like we said, they already selected Will Campbell, and they selected Travion Henderson. I like what the Patriots are doing. I really do. I was not the biggest fan of Jalen Polk last year, right around the Ladd McConkey area, but this is a good pick. This is a genuine good pick for the Patriots. I do think Kyle Williams is a good player. For reference, I think I was a little lower on the big board, but I do like his game. Where did I have Kyle Williams? I think it was, hold on. I had Kyle Williams at 58. Disregard. I thought I had him a little lower. I thought I'm the low to mid 70s. But no, he's a good player, man. Kyle Williams, Drake May. We have a trade, by the way. Does anybody have the exact trade? But I do like Kyle Williams. He's a good player, and that's kind of that, man. It's an upgrade for the Patriots, and that is that. pick is in for the Lions. Let me know if you guys have the exact trade. We have the player coming up. Oh, it's Terrion Arnold. Oh, that's funny. Oh, Isaac Tesla. Okay. Okay. I don't. Tesla's actually had a weird draft process. Hold on here. I just want to confirm this. The Lions traded 30 or 70 and 182, awaiting confirmation of what they're receiving. Okay, so we'll get to what they actually received in a minute. But Isaac Tesla, weird draft process. The thing is, and here's the trade. I'm tempted to say I appreciate the details so much. But Tesla is a solid player. He didn't have the most production in 2024. But he's definitely a traits-based guy. He had 19 yards per reception in 2024, so it is a 6th round. Okay, so the Lions trade 102, and then there's a lot of... So it's 70, 182. Hold on here. Let's get the Lions. 70, 182, and then for 102. And there's 2/3 involved. Wow. All right, so let's just get this here. 70 and 182 is what we need for the sake of this trade. I am not going to... I'm just going to force this. I'm not really worrying about... It's a lot of future picks, so that's what we're doing, and they draft Isaac Tesla. So let's Trevor had him at 111. So Isaac Tesla is a trades player, and if there's anybody that's going to develop Isaac Tesla, I think the Lions are a good situation. You know, we often talk about the situations for players to develop in, and we often talk about that, right? And the fact that he gets to be behind Amon-Ra, and the fact that he gets to be behind J-Mo, to me, it's a good landing spot. He's I would say mid-floor. I wouldn't say low floor, but mid-floor, decently high ceiling for the 70th overall player in the class. So I'll leave it at that. All right. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not missing any supers. Appreciate the super chat. Jay Galvanized. It's awesome to see Washington pick so late, but we have so little draft capital. I'm pretty happy with what we got so far. I would be too. The reality is Washington selected, ironically, right? They selected Josh Connerly and Trey Amos. I have them at 29 and 30. So... good for Washington. And I'm from Maryland, so I have lived through the Dan Snyder and everything that transpired with that over the past 20 years. So I'm genuinely happy for Washington fans to have the success they had last year and to just get to enjoy football. I'm happy for them, and I'm with you, Jay Galvanize. I appreciate the super chat. I'm with you on that. All right, Retro Classics. What do you think Cincinnati will do in round 3? I'm hoping Xavier Watts will fall to them. He's a player we actually haven't discussed a lot tonight, but that would make a lot of sense. Cincy, so far, they have selected Shamar Stewart, and they have selected Demetrius Knight. I'm going to be honest, I'm not really the biggest fan of either player, at least relative to where they were selected. If they can draft Xavier Watts, if they can get... Savone Ravel's a bit of a project / risk, so I won't say that. But if they could get Xavier Watts or Kevin Winston, I'm with you. I would be thrilled for the Bengals. So that would be a good selection. All right, the Saints are on the clock. Let's see here. What is the chat saying? Who do you think my Bills pick? You're disappointed so far with the Bills? I mean, I'm not going to lie, I can understand it. The trade up for TJ Sanders was a little, I was like, oh, that's... Maxwell Harrison and TJ Sanders is not a bad draft haul. I just would have preferred as a Rocco or Scorton. But I think if the Bills... Oh, man. They still need an edge rusher. So if they can get Braden Swinson, I would really love that for them. I think Braden Swinson, at this point, he led the SEC in pressures last year, and Braden Swinson would be, that would be ideal for the Bills. Pills will pick a small wide receiver for Josh Allen. We'll see. We'll see. No, I would honestly also love. The thing is, I like tone setters. I'm a big tone setters guy. So I would like them to. I've said this several times already, but I would like them to go Alec Manor. This applies to several football teams. The pick is in for the Saints, by the way. How do I feel about Seattle's draft so far? Like the first two, is not the biggest Elijah Arroyo guy. Was not the biggest Elijah Arroyo guy. Who do you think will finally pick Shadur? Maybe the Jets at 73? Guys, the thing is he is going to continue to fall. Unless somebody specifically trades up. Because the Saints took Tyler Shuck. So they're not going to take him. Not at 71. Now maybe they would at maybe 112, but definitely not at 71 or 93. So, Buffalo's not going to take him. Aside from the Jets, look at all these teams, guys. He's going to continue to free fall. Unless, Pittsburgh maybe at 83. But he's going to continue to fall, guys. That's just the truth. I kind of want this to be Jalen Milroe. Or sorry, disregard. They took Tyler Shuck completely. Brain fart. Sorry, I had a complete brain fart before that with the Jalen Milroe comment. Look, the reality is Vernon Broughton is a player that I like Vernon Broughton. Where did I have him on my board? They took him at 71. I thought I was in this area. Maybe I was a little lower on Vernon. I had him at 86. To me, he is going to be at absolute worst, he is going to be a rotational defensive lineman, which is never bad to have, and especially in the third round, and the Saints still have a top 100 selection. But the biggest thing with Vernon is he will help the Saints run defense, which they desperately needed based on last year. Saints fans, you guys especially know how bad that was to watch at times. So you can have an interior with Vernon Broughton. You can have, still have Kalen Saunders in there. And it's an upgrade from what you previously had. And you're in a division with, Bucky Irving and Bijan and Tyler Algier. And the Panthers try to run the ball as well. So I like that pick for what it is for the Saints. I really do. Somebody said even the ESPN gave up on Shadur Sanders. Oh, that's tough. He's going to continue to fall. Bills are on the clock. Unless the Jets take him at 73. Give it a big thumbs up. Give it a big thumbs up. Trevor had him at 39. I had Landon Jackson a little lower. I had him at 54. You're getting plus value. This is going to be just to me, just to complain, not complain, but more so just noting something. What was I don't like the trade up. I didn't like the trade up that Buffalo had to go get TJ Sanders and then eventually draft Landon Jackson. Like the players, I guess the way that we got there, I just feel like it was like, hey, we are going to run a mile, and instead of running around a track 4 times, like the tracks that you have at your high school, we're going to run around the track once, and then we're going to go up 3 hills for the next quarter mile, and then we're going to run the final 2 laps on the track. Is kind of how I would describe that process. But Landon Jackson is a really good player, and they get good value. They got plus value, and it's also a position of need. Nobody really likes when you just say, oh, A+. But at this point, it's an A+ pick for the 72nd selection in the draft. Landon Jackson, to me, in no way, shape, or form, is the 72nd best player in this class. So, I like it. Good job by Brandon Beane, and I'll just say it like that. All right, the Jets pick already in. If this is not Shadur, free fall. All right, so first off, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if you guys saw that. Actually, you can't, but I had a water bottle right here. It was actually about to fall off the table that I'm sitting on, and I actually caught it as it was falling off. So good snag by me. But anyway, look, Azareye'h Thomas, he is a good corner. There's definitely some limitations to his game. He is not a burner by any means at the corner position. And he is he's a high IQ player. And like I said, I generally prefer smart players for a reason. They find themselves in favorable situations. More often than not, there's a reason for that. But he's definitely not going to be a guy you want to say, hey, let's go guard Kyle Williams of the Patriots, first play, because there's a chance he could get burnt deep. But he's a really good corner in the sense of he can guard a number 2 receiver and effectively take him out of the game. And when you already have Sauce Gardner on your team, it's a good pick. It's a good selection by the Jets. For reference, I had Azareye'h. I know I liked him. I had him at 45 on my board. He's a good football player, man. Again, I know people don't like the A+ and the spamming of the A+, but you can't tell me that it's not a good pick for the Jets. I mean, that's a great selection for the Jets with the process of which they're going about it. And I didn't like the Mason Taylor, but Armand Membu and Azareye'h Thomas, that's a hell of a class, man. That's good. That's good for Darren Muji. Oz, appreciate it. I wanted the Bills to address the defense all around, and I can't hate on this. No, you shouldn't. I mean, they've addressed the edge. They've addressed the interior defensive line. They addressed corner. Yeah. By the way, I appreciate all the good snag, bros. Good, you love it. I'm glad you guys are supporting. Love it. Thank you guys for the support through that. But love the all caps here from Hardcore. Good snag by me. Anyway, no, look, the pick is in for the Broncos. But the Jets are just, I like Azareye'h. I mean, I'm not the biggest Mason Taylor guy, admittedly. But if you told me they took Thomas in the second, they took Mason Taylor in the third, I'm fine with that. I'm really fine with that. All right, let's see here. H. Brazzy just schooled everybody in Marcus's chat trying to virtue signal about Mike Green. Allegations are not convictions. Simple as welcome to be more. So H. Brazzy is a big, Ravens fan. He's a regular in the chat, so appreciate you joining. And the biggest thing that I've said, Brazzy, throughout the night with Mike Green is I'm not going to pretend that I know the situations, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm close with Eric DeCosta or John Harbaugh in the conversations that they had with behind closed doors. Hey, what do we think about this? Hey, Mike Green, what happened here? But look, he could be the biggest steal in the draft if everything works out. I'll just leave it at that. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to sleep. It's nearly 3 a.m. Have a good night. Hey, thanks for joining. Glad you enjoyed the stream. As a Florida State fan and student, I'm glad we got at least one draftee. Real talk for a minute. With what happened a couple weeks ago, I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you're safe. And I hope friends of yours are safe and everything. Real talk. So. Let's see here. Also, just discovered you last night and tonight, but love the vibe here. Def going to stick around. Appreciate it. I do appreciate that. And we are, like I said, I enjoy the community that we're building. And like I said, if you like the content now, it's going to be fun in the future. It's going to be, there's a very bright future ahead. I'll just leave it at that. Shout out Emma Soprano again. Like I said, Sopranos, one of my, I think it's the GOAT TV show. It's a good all around TV show. I don't know where you guys stand on The Sopranos, but I do think that season 2 is the best season. That's just me. All right. Thoughts on the Giants draft so far? Dart a bust. Is Dart a bust? 1 game in, or not even 1 game in. One day into being a Giant. So I love Darius Alexander and I love Abdul Carter. Jackson Dart, we'll see, but I mean, look, they at minimum they should have 2 good starters in Alexander and Carter at minimum. All right, did you see what the Lions gave to the Jags to move up to pick 70? It was a lot. The futures scared me, but it was, I thought they overpaid, to be honest. I actually didn't discuss that, but I thought they kind of overpaid. All right, agreed, don't know, you don't know, and perhaps EDC and the rest of the front offices don't, but I'm positive they did their due diligence. See, that's where I would stand on that. If I had to make an official comment on the Mike Green, it would be teams are not just like flying by with a top 60 pick and just saying, you know what, yeah, this is we're good. Let's just draft without even talking about it. So I would agree with that statement. You're from MD. You prefer The Sopranos to The Wire. Little confession, guys. I have not seen The Wire. Little confession. I get caught up with the draft every year. Summer is when I can watch my shows, and I plan to watch The Wire this year. So I have not watched it yet, but trust me, it's on my list. Trust me. I plan to watch The Wire this summer, and then I'll report back. The Broncos are on the clock.
Hey, Broncos country, how about Super Bowl 32 against the Packers? With that said, with the 74th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Pat Bryant.
Oh, let's go. That's one of my guys. Pat Bryant, baby. Oh, I love Pat Bryant. I'm a big Pat Bryant guy, man. I'm going to be honest, I think it's a little high for Pat Bryant, but I was higher than Pat Bryant than most. I had him. Where did I have Pat Bryant? Hold on. I know he's going to be in the 100s, but look, I loved Pat Bryant for who he is as a player. I had him at 130 on my big board. I thought he was going to be a day 3 player. Trevor had him at 158, but he is a guy that honestly will probably remind Broncos fans somewhat a little bit of Courtland Sutton. He's a big-bodied player. He had double-digit touchdowns this year for the Illinois Fighting Illini, and you upgrade the receiving unit. You get a big-bodied player. Courtland Sutton is also entering year 8, so his time is definitely limited, I would probably venture to say, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. But I like the pick. It's certainly a reach in some aspects, but I think if there's going to be a good landing spot for him, it's with Bo Nix, it's with Sean Payton, and it's with the Denver Broncos. So the pick is in for the 49ers. The Wire is amazing. Trust me. I want to watch The Wire. It's on my list. It's on my list. All right, hold on here. I will get to the Lions trade in 1 second here. Hold on. We'll get to that in a second. We do have a couple super chats to get to, and the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock.
Let's go Bay Area. With the 75th pick in the 2025 draft, San Francisco 49ers select Nick Martin.
Wow. Okay. I think this is a first for me, guys. Nick Martin missed several games in 2024. Injury concerns was one of the first things that I had on the scouting report. And Nick Martin, PFF has him as the 307th player. I would imagine a lot of that is due to injury concern. Nick Martin's the first player at 75 that I don't have in my top 150. I'm going to be honest. I don't look. I like Alfred Collins as a player. I don't like him at 43 overall. I like Micah Williams as a player. I don't like him at 11 overall. The 49ers tonight through this draft, they've had 3 selections, and they have this is bad. This is not a good draft process, man. This is not a good draft process. Maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe I look like an idiot. I don't think this is a good draft process at all. This is a genuine. 3 reaches. The thing is that they're not even close on value. I had Michael at 30. I had Alfred Collins at 70, and I didn't have Nick Martin in my top 150. I didn't do a top 200, but for reference, he would not have been in my top 200 either. I'm sorry, 49ers fans. I really am. I don't like to absolutely say, hey, this pick stinks. But you're telling me that you're taking Nick Martin at 75 with Chris Paul Jr. on the board, who would play really nice next to Fred Warner, who would be a field eater next to Fred Warner. That is probably, I'm not exaggerating, guys, and I don't like to be this serious, but this is probably my least favorite pick of the entire draft, if I'm being honest, through 75 picks. And there's a great pick by Dallas. There's a great pick by Dallas to get Savone Ravel. Anyway. All right. Okay, so the Lions trade, by the way. The Lions trade. We'll go back to this. I'll get to this in a minute. This was actually tweeted. Hold on here. This was tweeted a minute ago. Panthers trade up to 77. The Lions traded 3 third-round picks, 102 and 2 in 2026 to the Jags to move up to select Isaac Tesla, and they acquired two sixth-round picks. So that honestly makes the Jags trade look even better with Travis Hunter because they acquire 2 third-round picks next year. So that's the Lions trade, by the way. And I'll read it again. By the way. I'll read it again. The Lions trade 3 third-round picks, 102 this year, and 2 third-round picks next year to move up to 70, along with 2 sixth-round picks going to the... Wait. They acquired Isaac Tesla and 2 sixth-round picks. So the Jags get 2 third-round picks next year and 102 this year for that. Great job by the Jags, man. All right, let's see here. But guys, let's see here. I did want to say the pick is in. I want to see this Panthers pick here. I want to see where the Panthers go here. And like I said, I just want to say again that, hold on, I'll talk in a minute. Appreciate everyone being in here again. Panthers are making the selection now. It's Chuba Hubbard back out there. Great selection. Carolina's killing it. Carolina is killing it, man. Carolina, to the Panthers fan earlier that said, hey, I don't want to get too excited. Get freaking excited, man. Get excited. They are absolutely killing it. I don't know what they gave up. I'm just gonna force this trade right this particular second, just 77 for 85. But they are absolutely killing it. Look, the Panthers to have Princely, the Panthers to have Nick Scourton and Tetaroa McMillan. Guys, I was a big Princely guy. I interviewed Trevor Sikkema from PFF last week. We both loved Princely. I had him at 52. I had Scourton at 22, and I had Tet at 8. Love it for the Carolina Panthers. They're killing it. Great selection. Love the process, and they're doing a phenomenal job. But, guys, I did want to quickly say that I will probably release a video tonight. I'm thinking about it, but that is going to wrap up tonight's stream for now, and I just want to say, guys, that for over 1,000 of you guys to be in here and listen to what I have to say about football means the absolute world to me, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the continued support. I really can't, and it means a lot to me, and we are, like I said, we're building this. We just hit 186 yesterday, or the day of the draft, and we're on the road to 200. Cannot thank you guys enough for the continued support. I will have a lot of content in the next week or so cannot thank you guys enough for the support. Everybody who sent a super chat, I, again, greatly appreciate it. And there is one super chat that I have left. I feel like the Jags had an off year last year. They definitely did, but they're on the rise, and they're doing a lot of things right. So, like I said, appreciate everyone being in here, and hopefully you guys had a great time, and I know I did. I know I had a great time. So I will keep it roll, or I will post a video later tonight. That is the plan. And as always, until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Go show some love to some YouTubers. Go whether it's Marcus, whether it's Bengal, whoever. Just go show some love to other YouTubers. And appreciate you guys rocking with me. And love you guys.